The halls of a high school, my high school, have such an uncomfortable feeling to them at night. Beyond just the irony of my ending up there as an old man. When it's just past midnight and the doors are supposed to be locked. When the only sound in the building should be your own. When you think you hear something but you can't place what. And you really can't trust it's not just the pounding of your own pulse inside your forehead. I could never really get used to that stuff, man. I don't think anybody can. There's something wrong with that school. Something, I don't know, something evil. Everybody in town knows it. Right. Do you mind if I smoke? I need a smoke. Just talking about this whole thing gives me the shakes. I mean, will it affect the recording? This is only a transcription. I'm not recording. Your attorney. Okay, hotshot. I'm going to smoke. Try to stick to the story. The ad-libs are helpful, but there's no need to address me directly. I'm just an observer here. A nobody would be a better way to say it. Not even a local. It would help if you shut up a bit then, Inspector Gadget. A lot less talking from you would make this whole story time go faster. So, with the smokes, you got a lighter. They don't let us have lighters. Yes. Alright, there we go, thank you. Helps the tremble in my hands. Clears the head. Right, there we go. In this line of work, janitorial basically, you often hear things late at night that don't make any sense. I mean, especially these days. Lots of reasons for it to not make sense. We lock the building at 10. We're updated with the latest security cameras. We have bulletproof glass with shatter warnings. There are banks less protected in this country than schools. Did you know that? I might as well be sitting on top of Fort Knox itself and nothing but a little rattle down the hall could still push me close to wetting my pants. It seems stupid, right, to feel that way. Ridiculous even. I'm a grown man, but I couldn't shake that feeling. That feeling of being watched. I wanted to quit. I wanted to quit so many times. But money is money and bennies are bennies. I have cancer, you know. Well, at least they think, and the treatment alone is out of this world expensive. Let's focus on the night in question. Alright, have it your way. That night, that awful night. Give me a second. I got to work a little bit late, as planned, due to my cousin's wedding over in Fullerton. The second shift guy texted me beforehand that he had left the side door open. He also wanted some bleachers down for a morning assembly. Said he didn't have time to get to it because of some other stuff. So shortly after 10, I get there as planned, slightly buzzed and ready to tackle my night. The door was open and ready for me, and I locked it behind. I cleaned up the science lab and made a note to tell the librarians that the kids were responsible for their own garbage. I took down the bleachers and made a note of a couple rusty bits that looked in need of replacing. The last thing on my list was to mop the basketball court. Coach had complained about kids slipping, but the mop was in the boys' locker room, and right away, even when he had asked me, I started to get that feeling again. What feeling? Just a feeling, I guess. That room so enclosed, only one way in and one way out. It turned out to be right, didn't it? What did you see? Steam, lots and lots of steam, like somebody just took 20 showers. I opened the door and just let it waft out for a minute before sending a picture to Mike. Second shift guy. Right. He has a copy of the photo. I shared it with the police. I've seen it. Please continue. Right, Hotshot has seen it. Well, once the steam cleared, the locker room looked like its old self. A little damp, maybe. I went over to the bathroom there and noticed that the shower there wasn't running, but the handle was still hot. So my first thought is probably the same as yours right now. Kids. Right. It's not unheard of for some teenagers to stay after hours and steal stuff. Certainly more likely than the alternatives. So now I'm in Argus Filch mode. I've got my mop stick, I've got my hip dysplasia, and I've got White Valley PD on speed dial. I take off running out of the locker room and into the hallway with no particular direction in mind. I think I just felt better getting out of there. And then somebody screamed. Describe the scream. Well, let's just say it wasn't the "we're having fun" scream you might be expecting to hear from a band of marauding teenagers. No, this one came from the bottom of the belly. Deep, animal-like. Couldn't even tell if it was a man or a woman, just a person, you know. Fearful. Yeah, sure, fear, panic, pain, all of that. What did you do next? I ran. Where? Well, towards the scream. I ran so fast, I thought that my knee would give out. Somewhere along the way, my phone dialed for help. I know because I have the receipts. I don't actually remember doing it. I don't know why. It's like my memory is messing with me. Try to focus. I saw a flash of black. It looked like a hood or a sweatshirt or something. The shape disappeared behind a door that led to the second-floor staircase, so I followed it. At this point, my shirt is covered in sweat and my knee is throbbing, but I'm gaining on him. By the time I enter the bottom, his footsteps are directly above me. He walks so heavy, I can't forget that sound, like two bricks slamming into the tile one after another in rhythm. Thunk, thunk, pause, thunk, thunk, pause. So I leap up the staircase two at a time and my foot slips. My knee connects with a lower step and my eyebrow hits the ledge. It hurt so bad. Even in the moment, my entire world is a gush of pain, blood, and sweat. But at this point, the adrenaline takes over. I pick myself up and I enter the hallway. And that's when I saw him turning the corner. The only time that I saw him. God, I don't even know whether to say him. Can you describe anything about, let's just say, the figure you saw that first night? Not much. The blood, the fall, I couldn't see much. But I'm a tall guy, just a bit over 6'7", and this figure, looked to be about a foot taller than me, maybe more. Thank you. Now for the hard part. Do we have to? Yes. I don't see why. I told them everything I know. One last time. Crap. I'm gonna need more smokes. Help yourself. I followed the figure down the hallway in the direction that he went, towards the library. I didn't see anything at first, didn't hear anything either. We kept the lights turned out up there, on account of the bill and lack of use at night, so I had to use my flashlight. I moved over towards the reception desk. A lot of the books were scattered all over the place, like there had been a fight, which was weird because I specifically remembered the second shift guy saying that he had swept the library. I started to look for my phone again when I heard this whimper. I turned my flashlight up to the ceiling and that's when I saw her, the missing girl, Janelle. She was hanging there. By rope. That's your first question? Yes, by rope, tied up to the rafters way up. But it wasn't around her neck, it was around her waist, so her body was just sort of crumpled over due to the gravity. And her mouth was gagged. She looked down at me like she wanted to say something to me, but she was bleeding from a cut on her shirt. Bad. She looked close to passing out. Where? I couldn't see where, I could just see the blood. One thin line cut through the fabric, east to west. She tried to scream, but she couldn't. I froze for a second before I went to get her down. I told them that. Just the shock, I guess. And then I moved the flashlight to the desk, looking for a knife and pen, anything that could be used to cut. But when I turned the light back, she was... what? Gone. Just gone, like it never happened. I don't know how else to describe it. I searched the entire library. I looked up, I looked down, but nothing. She disappeared. And can you confirm for me that you have not seen Janelle Peterson since the night of the 1st? Nobody knows what happened to those kids, least of all me. Well, thank you. This gentleman will now lead you back to your cell. End of interview with Suspect 1, John Baker. My son always struggled to adjust to trauma. That was the way the therapist put it. Sammy just needs more time, you know. More time to cope, more time to dwell, more time to broil. He lost his father at a young age. I never remarried. I never had much extended family in the area. The few male role models that we found filtered in and out of his life as frequently as the metaphorical door slammed in our faces. I hated myself for it. I worried that he struggled to understand men because of it. I worried that he wouldn't grow up right because of it. I just worried that he would be broken, you know. That inborn sort of rebelliousness in him led to problems with authority, staying out late, and girls. Oh gosh, the girls. One after the other. A dozen different embarrassed looks from my living room couch. You wouldn't believe the stories. But I did my best, you know. I think we both did. Sammy kept his grades up. He took his medication regularly. He attended all his doctor and therapist visits. I wore the pants and the dress, so to speak, in our odd little relationship. Mornings for me at the convenience store on Highland Avenue. Afternoons over at Rigby's Dine and Drive. Plate on the table by 6. I couldn't promise to always be home for the plate, but the plate itself would always be there, you know what I mean. We had an unspoken bond, my son and I, especially about food. I couldn't disappoint him on that, not with everything else going on. Oh yeah, that reminds me. I haven't offered you a thing since you walked in the door. Oh, ruder than rude. And now I'm just talking your ear off to boot and cussing. What can I get you? Coffee, tea, water, beer. Pretty much these staples for folks in these parts. Water would be lovely. The folks would like it better if you said beer. I have to drive. Okay, pretty boy, keep them cheeks hydrated. One water coming right up. Lovely. Please continue. Don't know where. Let's move on to Janelle. Huh, Janelle Peterson. That girl hooked my son like a sunfish snacking on bread. Amour fou, right? Maybe a young fella like yourself wouldn't get the reference. What does that song on the radio call it? An enigmatic love, crazy love, uncontrollable love. First love, like dynamite. You must know a thing or two about it. A handsome guy like you. Uncontrollable how? A fight would leave this boy dejected for days. A breakup would be world-shattering. And that's the thing, they broke up every other week. It was madness. One night, Sammy locked himself in the bathroom for 6 hours. He actually fell asleep there. I had to coax him out with the smell of fresh bacon, like a wounded animal. But the good came with the bad. I could see it myself. I'm not too selfish to admit it. Janelle understood my son's illness, perhaps even saw shades of it in herself. They bonded over the bad days. Most people think of mental illness as a dividing force in relationships, but for Sammy and Janelle, it brought them closer and made them stronger. Well, that's wonderful. They got pregnant 2 months after they started dating. I see. Well, that was hard for me to take as a mother, you know. I felt like I had failed them. Easy to see why. Janelle she's a junior, so she's only 16. 17 now since their disappearance. My Sammy is about a year older, 18 in a couple of months. Their baby boy is due in just a few weeks. Would be due, should be due, who knows anymore. Funny how that works with missing persons. How often are they pregnant? How often are they kids too? Is my unborn grandson missing as well? Did he ever even get a chance to be missing? I'm sorry. So sorry, please, I need to excuse myself. Just a moment, so sorry. Can we pause the recording? Sure. Hello? Oh, apologies. A restroom sprung a leak. Mrs. Wright, I want to ask you about a noise I heard only moments before. Judith, just the ducks, boy. It's an old house. You live in a place fancy enough that doesn't need ducks. Maybe you could take me there sometime. Sure would be nicer than this place. It didn't sound like ducks, it sounded like... What? Tapping. Just like ducks. Rhythmic tapping though, as if in response to my question. Do you want this story or not? Please, continue. Where? Her parents. Right, her parents. Janelle's mother died in childbirth. A modern medical tragedy, the papers called it. Cost the Valley Hospital a lot of money. Basically, the doctors had messed up and they admitted they messed up. The family sued and won a ton of money which the father spent on pills that somehow haven't managed to put his scrawny butt in a grave yet. Yikes. The redneck American dream. Is it? You'll have to excuse my mouth. A lady shouldn't cuss so much, but the topic it calls for it. Her father ran off at the start of the year. This would be the most recent of his many benders and the police likely have a case open for it. The aforementioned couch of shame became Janelle's main bed in those months. I made sure to take better care of everything when she stayed. Where did she sleep? The couch, that couch where you're sitting. I see. I laid the bedsheet she used over the top there. The pillows are right there under the dresser, just in case she ever wants to come home, but she's never been back, not since that night. That tapping continues. Mrs. Wright, I have to ask you again about... Please excuse me. Is there somebody there? Okay, so sorry about that. I needed to check on. Mrs. Wright. Judith, my name is Judith. How many times do you need to hear it? Okay, Judith. Are we alone in the house? No. Well, you didn't tell me that before. You didn't ask. Judith, please tell me who's here. I just want to bring my boy home. He said he could bring my boy home. Judith, is there someone in the hallway? You want to know about the tall man? I see someone in the hallway. I am armed. I'm not sure he's even a man. He doesn't really look like one, but he sure is tall. Mrs. Wright, Judith, you're bleeding. He said he would make it all better, sweetheart. I see someone out there. I couldn't hear him say it, but I could feel it. Do you know? One for one. A grandmother for her grandson. That's not even a choice, is it? I'm an old woman. Take me, I said. Take me and give them back the baby. Give them back that sweet baby. But we need one more. One more to bring Sammy home too. And by now you must know who. Judith. If you could only kiss me, pretty boy, I would love one last kiss. One last screw even. Before he rips up that pretty little face of yours. Judith, run. I used to believe that nothing is impossible. I'm not talking about those printed little cliches hung up in home offices. I mean literally. Nothing exists beyond the boundaries of reason. Absolutely nothing. Everything that cannot be understood is simply transcends to a realm outside of mankind's understanding. And that doesn't make it impossible, does it? Just misunderstood. A decade worth of knowledge can render the impossible as commonplace. We see it all the time. I suppose all of that can still be true in a roundabout way. Somehow. But as an educated man, it does feel absolutely absurd to be sitting here talking to you about the existence of monsters. Do you believe in monsters? I believe in whatever the heck lives in that school. Can you describe it to me? I don't understand this. I don't understand any of this. Why isn't the military here? Who are you? What is this? I am just here to gather the facts. The fact is that those kids are still missing. It's been months. Do you plan to do anything about it? Does anybody plan to do anything about it? A dozen different interviews with cops and lawyers alike. Is anybody any closer? Did reliving this again and again solve anything but pad the pockets of some police, private eyes, and what? What are you exactly? You still haven't answered my question. I'm here to help. What does that even mean? You're here to help. Do you think you're a fortune cookie, son? This is people's lives that we're talking about here. This is life and death. And if you're not going to be straight with me, I'll walk away. I know my rights. I don't have to say anything to you. Give me one reason to waste another breath on this nightmare. I'm here to talk about the monsters. Yeah. Yes. Good. Well, good. First smart thing that you've said since you sat down. Have you seen one? You have, haven't you? Yeah, well, that's good. Good, about time. I expected more of a military response. Like I said, based on what I told the police. But nobody listens. Everybody in this town. The police consider you to be a prime suspect in this investigation. What? Why? How? Due to your close relationship with all of the victims. Past drug convictions. A little bit of pot and after-school astronomy makes me a criminal. You were also present at the time of their disappearance. Well, that's not enough. I didn't do anything. They know I didn't do anything. My head, the bruises, they have to know I'm still suffering. You wanted one good reason. What? One good reason to talk to me. This is garbage. So talk to me. Tell me about the astronomy club. Why? I think I can help those kids. I want to help those kids. That's all. I know you do too, Mike. That much is true. I can't stop thinking about them. I see them in my dreams every night. I want this all to be over. It was a small group, correct? Just the 6. We had more last year. Lots of seniors graduated. Name the current roster for me. Well, the pregnant girl and her boyfriend. Jeff, David, Nick, Kimmy. That's 6, right? And when did you meet? The purpose of the group is to look at stars. The best time to look at stars is at night. So in the fall and winter, 6 or 7 depending on a few things. Never later, never in spring. Always weather dependent. Where did you meet? The soccer field has the best view. Okay. All 6 kids attended that night. Obviously. Nobody left for any period. No. Okay. Describe for me the start of astronomy club up until the moment that your memory lapsed. Well, that's a funny way of putting it. Memory lapse. Something lapsed it. That much is for sure. Please. The kids showed up in a group around 10 after 7, and that pissed me off. Because it was already too late, you know. I don't get paid much for the extracurricular gig. I do it for the passion of the subject, and the kids usually do too. Which is why it annoyed me that they were being disrespectful to my time. And I let them know as much. The skinny guy, Dave, offered up some lame excuse about broken lockers and late rides. I asked them to spot the equipment. They set to work, mumbling and whispering loud enough for me to hear argumentative tones. They didn't have to be a rocket scientist to ascertain that something was up. Janelle barked something at Kimmy. Sam grabbed her around the waist. I could have investigated it. I should have, and I know that now. But I was tired and I just wanted to go home. These kids and their drama just didn't interest me, and never did. It was better that way. You see a lot of teachers get too invested. That's weird, especially for a single and lonely middle-aged guy like me. Sometime around half after, we had all the remaining equipment set up. The kids listened quietly as we reviewed the major constellations. Whatever fight they were having seemed to have dried up by then. The girls were standing next to each other. The group laughed at my bad jokes. They asked relevant questions. They seemed interested in the topic at hand, and the sky was clear that night. We could see all of what we planned to cover with minimal manipulation. So I lightened up and I started to enjoy my job again. We had just finished pointing Nick's viewpoint towards Orion when something bright turned the entire lens white. Everybody saw it. A few kids actually jumped back and complained that their eyes hurt. I looked up and scanned the sky for the source, but there was nothing. The whole thing turned black again, like it had never happened. The group argued a bit about what it could be. I advocated for heat lightning. Somebody pushed for a comet. Another mentioned that it could be a meteor, which caused me to spend the next 15 minutes explaining the difference between the two. When out of nowhere, something reached up and smacked me in the back of my head. Just as suddenly as I had described it, my whole world went brown. The edges just sort of blended. My face connected with the ground, but I didn't lose consciousness. I wish I did. Because the thing that sits with me the most, my friend, the reason this story is so hard to tell, the reason that I fought you from the start, is the screams. Those screams, I can't keep reliving them. They eat at me, they weaken me. I can hear them now, talking to you. The way those girls seemed so frightened, so completely terrified. I've never heard anything like it. So primal, so gut-wrenchingly awful. Like a mouse cornered by a cat. Like a gazelle right when the lion digs in a claw. This was the scream that only happens when death is certain and bodily instincts have taken over. And the worst part was that I couldn't see anything. I didn't even know what in the heck they were screaming about. My head was pushed onto the grass and my eyes were facing the wrong direction. I didn't have the strength or balance to move. Everything was swimming. I honestly thought that somebody shot me. I honestly thought I would die before each coming breath. I could hear one of the boys yell to the others that they should run. Jeff must have not listened. There was a rush of footsteps and then a thud and then more screams. I finally managed to turn my head to the right. It weighed as much as an anvil, only to look directly into this poor kid's lifeless eyes. Like a mannequin, like a doll's eyes. Jesus. I know this is hard. He was dead, deader than dead. I don't know how else to describe it. From that point on, it became pure and thoughtless chaos. Something roared, the children screamed. I saw one of them run to the left, another move to the right, and something grabbed them, all of them, even the dead boy. Something long, wet, and black. I guess you could call it an arm. I couldn't see it very well. After a moment, they didn't scream anymore. After a minute, it got very quiet. By that time, my eyes adjusted enough to the darkness and pooled blood. I saw a figure out there in the distance, maybe about 20 yards out, past the goalpost, headed toward the library, walking away from me. I couldn't make out many details, but it was tall, too tall to be human, and it had these long arms that dipped behind it like tentacles. The children were being dragged behind. I couldn't see whether they were conscious or not. I finally mustered up the courage to yell something. I don't even remember what. But afterwards, this monster turned around and looked at me. It stared directly at me and I could feel it. Could you see anything then? Yes, yellow eyes, like a snake. Thank you, Michael, again. But this isn't anything different from what you have told the police. I'm afraid it'll be difficult. Wait. Yes. They won't let me in the school anymore. I don't blame them. I don't want to go in. But even when I drive by or walk by, I can still feel it, I can still feel him like a presence. I won't go near there anymore. I don't think anybody should. I don't think that it's safe. And what do you feel? He's trapped and he's angry. He's very, very angry. Thank you, Mike. I can feel it too. Don't you remember what it feels like to be young? You've got to, somewhere, somehow, try to imagine it. That beat in your chest that slips down to your stomach like butterflies and stress mixing together and rolling over to do happy little cartwheels through your insides. I want to feel that way forever. I want to suck it all up and bottle it somewhere before I get old. You know, I just don't have that much time left. That's not true. Really, the only event after prom is graduation, if that even happens, and then it's gone forever. Just like me, another town, another place, I just want to live this life while it lasts. I want to feel 17 while I'm 17, you know. This life doesn't end after high school, hon. But this feeling might. I know that you felt it once before Mom died before you got old. I found your old yearbook on Grandma's bookshelf. You were handsome. Long hair, dark glasses, a big smile. Lots of signatures from lots of girls. What happened to that guy? Is he dead or do you keep him locked up, like you do with me these days? That's not fair. No, none of this is fair. Things were different then. What? You mean you didn't live in a freak town with a freak monster running around kidnapping freak kids? Honey. No, Dad, really. I want to know the cost of what I'm missing here. The price for our supposed safety. Be honest with me. Will there ever be anything in my life just like prom again? I didn't say you couldn't go. No, you just want to chaperone and creep from the bushes so hard that my date will think you're going to gut him like that missing girl who got gutted. Katie, Jesus. What does he have to do with anything? Janelle. Huh? Her name is Janelle. Are you seriously recording this right now? You're secretly recording your own daughter on her prom night. That's messed up, Dad, even for you. No, yes, I don't know, I guess I left it on. I'm sorry, honey, I'm going to finish getting ready. Wait, Dad. Can you zip me up? Sure. I wish we never even moved here. Me too. Like really, Mom never would have allowed it. Yeah, you're probably right about that. The rain never stops. Oh, it does sometimes. The cold is awful. So you wear a jacket. The people here don't even drive like the people back home. What do you mean? I mean, look at them, the way they stare at you. I mean, who does that? Look at that one lady. Her eyes aren't even on the road. Why is she staring at us, Dad? That's so creepy. I don't know, honey. I wish this rain would stop. I know. It's going to ruin my dress. I'll carry you in if we have to. You're sweet. Your date is meeting us. He is. What? In my day. Yeah, I know. It just seems strange for you to walk in alone, especially with everything going on in this town. We could have picked him up too. Dad, can I ask you something? Yeah. What does he look like? Your date? No, you know who. Him. I don't know who. You said you saw him at Sammy's house, waiting in the dining room watching, listening to everything you talked about. Only a shadow. A shadow that moved? I don't want to talk about it. I need to know. Why? Because it affects me too. Fine, I'll be honest with you. You're old enough for it. Yeah, right. I think if what I saw is really what I saw. Yeah. That's a major if. It was dark in that house. Spit it out. If what I saw is really what I saw, those kids are in a lot of trouble. And we're going to prom. Thank you. It can't be too bad. Look at all these people. Park by the entrance. Whoa, this place is packed. The traffic alone, how many kids go to your school? I love you, Dad. Alright, hold up. Promise me you'll be safe. I promise. Promise me that you know where to meet me. I promise. Promise that you will text every 5 minutes. 10? 5. Promise that you know I love you. I promise and I love you. Bye, Dad. Text from Katie, 7:58. I made it inside. Thanks again, Dad. Notes, 8 p.m. A melancholy song plays on the radio. Rhythm gives way to static. Rain patters against the glass in slow harmony. A loud knock on the window shakes my focus. A jock in a white tuxedo pulls up by the passenger side. He attempts to open my door and finds that it's locked. He stops, he smiles. Are you here to see him? He asks. Who? Don't play games, you know him, you've seen him. He's seen you. Don't interfere, I'll be back. Can you tell me what that means? I shout to the now retreating stranger in the parking lot. Can you please tell me what that even means? Text to Katie, 8:02. We need to go, I'm sorry, something is happening. Text to Katie, 8:03. Let's go, now. Notes, 8:08. Static fades as the local college radio station's signal overtakes it with Stray Light Run. My mind runs through the probability of finding my daughter versus her finding me. I settle on the latter. Wind howls and pulls at the signs in the parking lot. I stare at my phone, waiting desperately for a reply that never comes. A peripheral shape rips away my attention. Standing in front of the headlights is Janelle Peterson. She is a sight to behold beyond the obvious. Her clothes are ripped and tattered. Her nose is bleeding and her teeth are cracked or missing. When she speaks, a bit of blood dribbles down her chin, and she coughs to let out even more. She says something that isn't caught by the dash audio. He's angry. People spill out of the gymnasium like ants fleeing a stomping toddler. A teacher falls in the distance and is quickly trampled by a horde of desperate teenagers. My car doors open. Janelle is in the back seat. Katie is in the front. Drive, my daughter screams, and shakes me for good measure to break through the shock. I lock the doors and I hit the gas. The acceleration lurches us towards the fleeing mob. Somebody please talk to me. He's angry, Janelle whines. I want to go home, Katie cries. We peel out of the parking lot through a maze of panicked bodies and disembodied screams. A few strangers slap at the van, a few others try to block us. They all want to ride, you see, but stopping for one of them means stopping for a dozen, and we don't have the space or the time. We are a life raft in the middle of the ocean. We just can't see the shark yet. What are they running from? I have my answer in seconds. A piece of concrete falls from the top of the school. A school bus, 2 spots down, is crushed. The entire building shifts and winds. We hang a close right turn by the entrance to the gymnasium when something long, slender, and white flies out of the prop doors and into a parked car. Is that an arm? He just wants to go home too, Janelle whispers. But he can't go home, not until he has more. He needs more, always more, more, more. More what, Janelle? More what? More time? More bodies. We hit the main road and bang a fender on the uneven concrete. I floor it once we straighten out. The screams die out in moments. The adrenaline slows soon after. The street grows quiet and dark. The rain stops. I readjust my rear view and catch a glimpse of fire in the distance. The car stays quiet for a while. And then the road starts to crack. My name is Janelle Peterson, and I'm a survivor of the attack on White Valley Memorial High School. There are 3 of us here. We're trapped inside an office building on the edge of town, right next to Jamba Juice. We have been here for 3 days. We're running low on food and water. Soon, at some point, if no one comes, we're going to have to make a run outside. Which is why, Katie, do you want to talk? Okay. Speak into that part, the top part. I know how to use it. Okay, just hold that part. It's my dad's microphone. I know, the static can just sometimes be annoying. You have to hold it and speak. My name is Catherine Smith. Anything else, tell them something. Tell them about yourself. I just want to go home. Okay. Mr. Smith. What? Do you want to say something for the recording? Do I have to? You got something better to do? I suppose not. Speak clearly. I never thought it would come to this. The school is destroyed. The town is destroyed. We have not seen another living person since the attack. But we hear things at night when they think we're sleeping. What kind of things? People out there in the rain milling about. I hear them too, but they don't sound right. Their voices don't have a normal cadence to them, like how background conversation usually is. They sound sick or something. Oh, maybe they are. What? Sick? Oh. He wouldn't let them outside otherwise. You still haven't explained what happened to you. I have. You said you were abducted. I was. Who abducted you? You know the answer by now, say it. I really don't. You've seen it, so stop lying to yourself and call it what it is. A monster, a creature of some kind. A monster's a good word for it. Alien. Alien is another. I get the feeling that they're all referring to the same thing. All of the lore. Every boogeyman since the beginning of time, all referencing the same thing. This thing. The tall man. Correct. What is it? I thought we covered that topic. Did you know about it before, Did the people here know about it? There's a better question. Everyone I talked to, everyone in this town, they all seem to have some inkling that whatever happened to you, whatever took you had to be something inhuman. So you want to know why some God-fearing folks in hick country would be scared of the devil, wondering if they made a deal for some updated sidewalks and a really nice guitar that plays the blues. Did they? I wouldn't know, but they knew about him. The tall man. Maybe. Our people have been here for a long time. Before the colonists, before the tribes even. There are rumors that a settlement existed in the valley even before the land bridge in Alaska. You'll notice that our skin is darker. Our eyes are better adjusted to better take in the sun. That sort of thing takes dozens of generations to develop. And yet here we are adapted to live in this town. I see. There have always been stories, sightings and the like. Ranger Rick, out messing around in the sticks, swears that he sees a shadow in the trees. Martha's grandmother insists on seeing a face in her window at night. But these were just rumors, urban legends that folks never really took seriously. Of all the high school kids, I guess every rumor has a nugget of truth in it. What happened on the night that he took you? I don't remember much, it's better that way. I remember floating for a bit and then crashing for a bit and then hearing a baby cry. My baby. I don't even know if it was a boy or a girl. Did you see the others? Oh yes, all of them. Jonathan, Jeff, and the rest. Where did he take them? A tunnel beneath the school. He dug it out like a rabbit. Why did he take them? Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I only know the answer because he told it to me. He speaks in your mind right when you least expect it. What did he say? He took them for a trade. The place that he comes from doesn't want him anymore. He needs to bring back something of value. People. Men, women, and children are the biggest ones. Lots of money for kids. He's a pirate, a people pirate. Funny phrase, isn't it? Simple economics, goods exchanged for freedom. Amazing how well that concept travels. So he got what he wanted, 6 high school students. Wasn't that enough? Why destroy the town? Well, he needed more, always more. Alive is better, but dead is okay too. And your baby, it fetches the highest price of them all. How do you know this, really? Can't you hear it? Can't you hear him? I can't turn it off even now. What is he saying? He wants to hurt you. What is she talking about, Dad? All right, enough. I'm sorry for asking. Ask me something else, please. I've heard it before, but they haven't. Who? They. The people listening to your recording. The ones who will get this message after we're dead. I assume that's the point of this, right? To let people know what happened here before it's too late. Too late? Dad, what? Janelle, please. You know what's going to happen. That's why you're recording. Stop it. Nothing is going to happen. We're safe here. We just need to wait for the government. You know they're not coming. Stop it. We still have daylight. We're fine. Everything's fine. Dad, what is she talking about? Tell her. Dad. You're scaring my daughter. You haven't been honest with her. Please. What the tall man wants is us, Katie. We are the last breathing souls in this town. As soon as that sun sets, we're done. We can't hide forever and he's getting closer. I said stop it. I can feel it right now. I can feel him coming. I know you can feel it too. Dad, do you hear that? That tapping. Right on schedule. Oh my God, what is that? Get behind the wood. Katie, crouch down, hand me the gun. Carefully. Janelle, get down now. Why? I can see him. We're going to die here. Nobody's going to die, stop it. We're going to be alright, everything's going to be alright. Mr. Smith, I appreciate all that you've done for us. Katie, honey, get a weapon. Really, I appreciate that you tried. Get the bat. This recording will prove to everyone that we tried. Katie, sweetheart, the baseball bat. Not for us, at least. This is the end of the line. White Valley is gone. Get ready to swing. Time to say goodbye. I don't understand. Mr. Smith, now would be a good time to say goodbye to your daughter. Daddy. Honey, just get down. I'm so sorry. I love you. Daddy. No, honey. Goodbye. Today's episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Taking care of your mental health is very important, and it often gets pushed to the side with all of our day-to-day responsibilities. Take the time to make time for yourself and give therapy a try. This Mental Health Awareness Month, let's encourage everybody to take care of their well-being and break the stigma. The world is better when people are healthy and happy. I've benefited from therapy personally, and I'm slowly starting to learn to love the person that I am, along with being comfortable in my own skin. And BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide. And BetterHelp has over 10 years of experience matching people with the right therapist. From their diverse network of more than 30,000 licensed therapists with a wide range of specialties. We're all better with help. Visit betterhelp.com/Mr. Creeps to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Mr. Creeps. I squint through the snowstorm and look down to my watch, raising it a little closer to my face for a better look, but I don't know why I bother. It's just a force of habit, I guess. The watch is broken. It's always broken. I should replace it really, after all. I mean, who wears a broken watch? I just can't bring myself to do so. It was passed down from my granddad through my brother. 3 different repair places have all turned me away and said that it was impossible to fix. Too old, they say. Sounds like bullshit to me, but hey, what do I know? I shiver and my gaze returns to my surroundings. I draw my coat a little tighter around my body. The storm rages. All around is snow and an endless world of white, illuminated through the dark with the mist-blurred orange of the endless, dutiful street lamps. I carry on trudging along my way. At the beginning of the night, right after the bus had dropped me off, I considered waiting in the spot that I was left behind, waiting for the driver to realize his error and to come back and get me. But it was just too cold for standing around, and so I started walking down the road, following the bus's direction of travel. It's been a few hours now and the bus never came back. So yeah. Hey, my name is Sam, by the way. I'm 15 and I'm lost in the snow. I didn't realize the mistake until the bus had driven away. The storm beyond the windows was too thick and hell. Why shouldn't it be dropping me off in the right place? It's always the right place. Never am I dropped off in the wrong location. Except for this evening, it would seem. This, the evening of the storm. I grimace and close my eyes tight shut against a sudden barreling gust of icy wind. I have no idea where I am. Maps isn't working, but I should be okay. I'll just keep following the road until I find something that I recognize. Soon, for sure. And so I walk. I walk and I walk. It's maybe 3 or so hours or so until I really start to feel the first stages of panic settling in. The air only feels like it's getting colder and colder, sharper and sharper. There's no one at home right now to come and collect me, so what am I supposed to do? I check my phone again as the battery steadily drops. The device shakes in my shivering hand. Come on, I mutter, grimacing, looking around for a countless time. Come on, give me something here, something. And if I squint just right, there through the blizzard is a different kind of light. Faint at first and paler than the orange of the street lamps, but it's different enough. Distinct. Yellow and soft, spilling through the windows of a long building, a little ways back from the road. It could be an office block or something. I decide to go for it, turning away from the road and trudging a path through the fallen snow to the building's entrance. As I approach, I realize that the building isn't an office at all. In fact, it's a school. Not mine nor one that I recognize, but a school nonetheless. Damn, it's probably locked up tight. I think aloud as I reach the front doors, but to my surprise, they push right open at my touch, and so I head on inside. It's not very warm in here, but hey, at least it's out of the wind and the snow. My footsteps echo on the hard floor. The door closes with a thunk behind me and the sounds of the weather are dulled. I draw down my hood and allow myself a breath. It fogs and clouds over into the surrounding air and I look around. The school's main lobby is illuminated like 2 of its offshooting corridors, with a faint, warning yellow. The light in corridor 3 is flickering silently, and the light of the 4th is non-existent. Dead dark and a picture of shadows. An unfamiliar emblem is emblazoned on the wall to my left, above the motto, Ad mortem, ad lucem. A disturbing sense of unease passes through me. The light flickers and the air chills. I try to clear my throat, but the noise sounds distant and far away. My breath clouds around my face, and a shadow, vast and long, swims into my field of vision across the walls and the floor. Slowly, as if beneath a body of water, I turn my head. I turn to look behind me and stagger away in horror, as fast as this newly thickened air will allow. Beyond the glass of the entrance doors and drifting through the snow and shadows in the air is a living nightmare. What appears bizarrely to be something akin to an enormous eel, black and creeping, slithering its way through the evening air as if the storm were the bottom of the sea. Its jaw cracks open a slither, and as it passes me by, I see its teeth, gray and spiked and beyond count. Its eye fixes upon mine. It glows like the lights of the school, yellow, only brighter. The pupil of this great eel is rectangular, in the manner of a goat's, and deeper and darker and blacker than anything that I've ever seen. To meet this thing's stare is to look back into the eye of the abyss. It drifts past the door at a right angle, its long and snake-like body following on behind, and I tear away my eyes. Shit, I stutter uselessly. No way, and I turn tail and I run, away from the doors and deeper into the building. I pass by a window to my right and I see another dark shadow. A second of these creatures perhaps as it swims through the snowstorm outside. What the hell is happening? I shout out loud, hoping to break through the sounds of my breathing and my beating heart as I tear down the hall and around corner after corner. I found myself drawn to an ascending staircase, and so up I climb after a quick check over my shoulder. I don't think that the creatures can enter into the building, but the flickering lights and the dancing shadows are playing tricks on me. I climb as quickly as I am able and I crash down into the nearest classroom, fumbling and stumbling amongst the chairs and landing on the ground in the dark. I catch my breath. The only light comes through the glass in the classroom door and through the long, wide window beside me. The blinds are open and the snowstorm rages beyond. The light of a street lamp, faint and as far as it is, filters calmly inside. It illuminates the tips and edges of the chairs and tables. It casts a glossy, reflective shine across the artwork, presumably drawn and painted by students hung on the walls, and across the hair of a girl resting casually on the counter. "Hey," she says with a smile, and I recoil in surprise. "What the? Who are you?" I ask, stuttering. "Oh, sorry about the eels. They're here for me, not for you, but best to avoid them all the same," she says, dodging the question and brushing a strand of hair from her face. She tucks it behind her ear. I realize that at some point I bit my lip and it throbs painfully. I rub a thumb across the freshly forming bump. "What's your name?" I ask. "What are you doing here? Are we safe?" She shrugs. "I'm pretty safe, I guess, for now." She glances to the window and gently kicks her heel against the counter. "My name's Ellie. I'm just hanging out. Do you have a name?" "Of course I have a name," I reply, irritated. "It's Sam. Is this your school then?" She shrugs again. Kinda. I glance from the door to the window and clamber up to my feet, taking a seat opposite her on a nearby desk. My dumb teenage brain tries to work out if she's cute or not. She kind of is, I guess. More importantly, though, I'm also trying to decide if her presence here has heightened or lessened the imminent danger. "Could you just stop screwing around for a second? What the hell is going on? Eels. Massive eels in the snow. They aren't actually eels, obviously. That would be moronic. They just look like them. So what are they then? Why are they hanging around here, around your school?" She shifts and brings a hand up to her shoulder to rub her arm. "Oh, don't worry about it. It's not really your problem." "Not my problem," I repeat, eyebrows furrowed. Well, I would disagree a little." I throw out my hands. "What is happening?" Her tone shifts to a defensive one. "Geez, if you're gonna be a little whiny baby, you can just go, okay? I didn't ask for you to come here. I already told you they aren't here for you. They're here for me." Ellie crosses her arm and stands up from the desk, turning and walking away to face the window. A whiny little baby. Oof. We both watch as the enormous shadow of one of the creatures drifts past the glass, temporarily throwing a coat of shadow across the room. The snow falls. Diplomacy, Sam. I rub my chin. I want answers here. All right, I say, I'm sorry. She turns back to look at me and I speak on. I'm just freaked out, okay? You seem a lot more in control of the situation. I would like to be at the same level that you are. I hold out my hand and offer for her to shake it, a peace offering, and my grandfather's watch catches in the light. Her eyes dart to it at once and her expression changes completely. She squeals a little and puts her face right up close to it. That is gorgeous, she says. Oh my goodness, where did you get this from? Can I see it? Why is she not concerned by the monsters outside? Yeah, sure, here, take it. I unclasp it from my wrist and make to hand it to her, but she takes a sudden step back. Oh, no, it's okay. If you could just set it down on the table, that would be great. I pause. You want me to just set it down on the table? She nods and smiles pleasantly. Yes, please. Right. I do as she asks, and instead of passing the watch directly to her, I instead place it gently down on the nearest desk. She rests on the surface, one hand on either side of the timepiece, and gets her face really close to it. You were wearing it on the wrong wrist, you know, she says as she studies the thing. I shrug again, irritated. Well, I'm left-handed, so... And it doesn't work, she asks me. It's broken. Why would you wear a broken watch? Even a broken watch is right twice a day. I reply dryly, and to my surprise, she actually laughs. I chuckle too, a little awkwardly in surprise. Sure, she says, sticking out her tongue. The shadow of the eel drifts past the window. Again, we're casting a shadow as it passes us by, swimming through the rush of the storm. Please just tell me what's going on, all right? I say to her, my temporarily misplaced fear returning at full force. Come on, don't play around with me. Are we actually in danger? I certainly feel in danger. She ignores me, squinting carefully at the broken watch, muttering quietly in thought to herself. Time. It's such a funny thing. Hey, enough is enough, and I step forward. I reach out to grab her arm, but in my attempt, my hand passes right through her skin. Her skin and body and everything else. She is massless, and I watch as my hand passes effortlessly right through her arm, translucent and flickering. After a moment of processing, I take a silent and horrified step back. She sighs and straightens, brushing that same strand of hair behind her ear. She no longer looks as solid or indeed as grounded as she did mere moments ago. I'm sorry that you ended up here tonight, she says quietly. The wind whistles beyond the walls, and the snowstorm rages. So, what's your deal, Ellie? I ask, mouth dry. Are you a ghost or something? It's meant as a half-joke, really, but the question hangs in the air. She wrinkles her nose and then shrugs. I laugh nervously. So, are you a ghost then? I'm not alive anymore, if that's what you're wondering. She nods to the window. That's why the creatures are after me. I'm not still supposed to be here. Oh, I reply simply. For some reason, I see in my mind's eye a rough bird's eye view of the school, piled high with and surrounded by snow. Faint yellow light shining from the windows in the storm as the eels circled around and around. I could run. I could just turn around and run back the way that I came, back into the storm. Though I'm not convinced by what she tells me. The idea that the eels will just ignore me is a nice one, but I don't know how true it is. I'm not sure that she really knows either. How did you die? I ask a little awkwardly, if you don't mind me asking. She doesn't reply at first. She only goes back to studying the watch. She holds her hands above it, and then I observe in awe as she draws them suddenly back, and a glowing representation of the watch's inner mechanisms are blown up and fixed in place in the air just above us. Cogs and gears all stilled. "Whoa," I murmur, and she smiles. And then she sighs and the smile escapes from her face. "You can see for yourself if you really want to," she says, pointing to the mirror in the corner of the room. "Though it's not a fun story, so be warned." Cautiously, I make to head over, and she seems to have some second thoughts. "Wait," she says suddenly. "Actually, I don't think that's much of a good idea. You should leave, honestly. The creatures won't hurt you, I'm just waiting here. Seriously, you don't have to look." But it's too late now. My curiosity is piqued, and it might as well count towards my safety and survival, so I turn back to the mirror and I stride towards it. "Wait," she shouts as I put out a hand, and it passes through the surface of the mirror like water. All around me at once is mist, swirling glass-like mist and distorted cries from behind. Ellie is calling back to me, but it's too late. I have stepped through and now I'm falling. There is nothing to keep me anchored. And I land with a thump and a groan at the entrance to the school. I am outside, but there is no snow right now. I jump to my feet and receive some strange looks as I'm surrounded by kids, all roughly my own age, though I don't recognize a single person by sight. I glance back to the building. It's very different in the pale gray light of this particular overcast morning, but it's the same school all right. But when? I'm an avid reader, and it always infuriates me when I'm forced to spend paragraph after paragraph and page after page reading through the main characters gaping and gawking in narrow-minded disbelief. So I swore to myself once many years ago that if I ever found myself in an unlikely and unpredictable situation, that I would do my best to just roll with it, to take stock and act as logically as I am able. So I take off my coat and I wrap it around my waist. I smooth back some of the ruffles in my hair, and I do my best to uphold that promise. I take a quick look behind me, but naturally any evidence of a mirror or any kind of ethereal doorway has vanished. Very well. I turn back to the entrance doors to the school and I join my apparent peers, climbing the steps and heading on inside. The kids all around me are giving me strange looks and I am at once incredibly self-conscious. "Who's the new kid?" I hear one girl whisper to another. I glance to my left at the school's logo. Ad Meloria, ad Lusam. I wonder for the second time what it might mean. And nothing probably. Schools around here love their Latin mottos. "Around where, Sam? Where the hell even are you?" I reach down to my pocket for my phone, a renewed chance to check maps perhaps, but my pockets are empty. "You can't take anything with you," comes the voice of Ellie from above and all around me, and I swivel on the spot, staring up at the ceiling. "Hey, where are you?" I call out, and the conversations around me fall to a hush, and then change to stifled laughter. Who the hell is this guy talking to? I flush and make to stride down one of the school's corridors, bumping hard into a girl in a bright purple coat as I do so, knocking her books to the floor. She looks up at me and flushes in turn, brow furrowed. And it's her. It's Ellie. "Ellie," I say, "help me out of here, please. At least a little clue would be nice." She stares at me, expression uncertain. And then after a pause, "Sorry, do I know you?" I turn my head. "It's Sam. We were speaking just now. You called out to me." She shakes her head, maintaining eye contact. No, sorry, I don't remember you. I'm sorry." "Get a grip, Sam. Think logically." "Right," I manage. Sorry. Here, let me help you with your stuff." I crouch down to the ground to collect her books. 2 science books and a purple personal journal of some kind. It's fallen open to a page with the header, Last Day. Beneath is a list of stuff. I managed to read a couple of the items in confusion before she snatches it out of my hand. Apologize to Mrs. Reeves. Clear out locker. I look up at her. What does last day mean? I have to go, she replies quickly, stuffing her things into her bag and hurrying away into the crowds. Hey, I call after her. Wait up, come back. But she does not. Holy shit, I mutter to myself, rubbing a hand across my forehead. Language, young man, comes the sharp voice of a teacher behind me. I turn to him. Oh, sorry. He squints down at me. Do I know you, lad? No, I'm new. Right, well, you'll be expected in registration then, won't you? What's your name? I give it, and the teacher is, of course, unable to find me in the records at the desk. Well, he says, just spend the morning with Mrs. Reeves. Your timetable should largely follow that of the other students. Do you know if you're in history or geography? History. I lie and the teacher nods. I'll have a schedule printed for you. Room 8G for now though, Sam. And don't let me catch you swearing again. Right, yeah, sorry sir, gotcha. I nod and take a quick leave, running the great barrels of new information through my head as I walk, trying my best to process, to act soundly. Something rumbles in the distance. I swear that I can see a glimpse of a shadow pass me by, but when I turn to look for the shadow's source, there's nothing there, nor do any of the other kids seem to notice. I swallow anxiously. Control your fear, learn what's going on, and improvise. I have my suspicions already, but it would be good to get confirmation. I follow the letters and numbers written on the doors until I find classroom 8G, whereupon I knock and push through into the room, instantly awkward and aware of every movement of my body, as all the eyes of the kids behind the desks shift to mine at once. And who might you be? The teacher asks, looking down her glasses at me. My eyes dart from her to the kids in the class, to a girl sitting by herself near the back. Ellie, I blurt out without thinking, to an eruption of laughter from the room. Ellie herself flushes a deep color and looks down to the desk. Mrs. Reeves looks between us and sighs. I find that unlikely, young man. Your name, please. Oh, sorry, it's Sam. Well, Sam, you may as well take the seat next to Ellie for now, since you seem to know her already. As I walk the length of the room and settle into the seat, the whispers and murmurs and giggles rise up almost immediately. Ellie shoots me a dirty look. What the hell did you do that for? She hisses at me as I sit down. Sorry, I say back. It was an accident. I'm under a lot of stress, okay? Yeah, well, you're not the only one. She mutters under her breath. There's a strained pause. I think of Ellie the ghost that I met not an hour or so ago. Of the journal. Last Day. Ellie, I begin softly. How do I phrase this? Are you planning on this being your last day? What? Are you planning to kill yourself? She swivels to stare right at me. What the hell is wrong with you? She hisses, just a little too loudly. Ellie! Mrs. Reeves calls from the front, interrupting her reading of register. Ellie gives her an apologetic look and then turns right back to me. Who the hell are you? What are you doing here, Sam? The exact same questions that I was asking her a few moments ago. I asked first, are you or are you not planning to kill yourself? She chews her cheek and looks away. No, I'm not. I don't believe you, I say to her. It doesn't matter if you don't believe me. Just do me a favor and get lost, okay? To this, I say nothing though. A few seconds later, she turns back to me, eyes still downcast. Sorry, I didn't mean that. It's been a tough few days. Sure, it's okay. We sit together and yet a chasm apart. The bell rings to begin the day, and much to Ellie's annoyance, I spend much of it trailing her around. I'm forced away from her by way of various seating plans and the like. Some kids try to introduce themselves to me and I ignore them. A little rude perhaps, but I have priorities here. I'm trying to work out the lay of the land. Ellie rejects and pushes back all my attempts to broach conversation. I can tell that she's curious about me, but it isn't enough to stop her from keeping me at arm's length. She escapes me through the crowds completely at lunch and disappears entirely for the lesson immediately after. And then in the final period, I am witness to an excruciatingly cringy display of her public speaking, as she stammers and fumbles for a painfully long time through an extract of Romeo and Juliet. It's so bad, in fact, that I forget why I'm here for a moment and struggle to hold back giggles. Ellie seems less than amused, and doesn't even look back when I call out after her at the day's end. 2:59 p.m. read the clock on the lobby wall as I left through the doors. At this time of year, the sun had already begun to sink low into the sky. I was walking behind her and we were leaving the school behind. They let us go a couple of minutes early. A gust of wind ruffles through my hair and rustles the collar of my coat. My mood suddenly drops and I'm met with a stomach-churning sensation that I'm running out of time. Ellie, I call out, though it's becoming, I find, harder to speak. I'm forced to project, to raise my voice beyond a whisper. And there's that sensation again, the feeling of walking through water. I struggle against the winds and the thickness of its air. The lowering sun glints orange and sends Ellie's shadow long and dark back towards me as the gap between us widens. And all around are the creatures now. Slow and rumbling, they push aside the air at various heights. They look down to the girl, hungry and eyes aglow. One looks to me as it rises up and up into the air. Its jaw distends, and the mists shimmer and fog from behind and beside. I am lost in the cloud as I call out for her, but my voice does not work the way that it's supposed to. My sight is obscured and I close my eyes tight shut. But when I open them again, I am stumbling to the floor of the classroom. I land with a clatter and a grunt and a groan. Ugh. I clamber unsteadily to my feet and try to regather my bearings. Behind me is the mirror, softly shimmering as before. My disheveled reflection looks back at me. The classroom is just as I had left it, I think, though it's darker now. We are well into the night. Ellie, or the ghost Ellie, is humming softly to herself, still studying the projection that she has made of my watch's inner mechanisms. She raises her hands and makes little circles with her fingers, and as she does so, the projected gears and cogs turn with them. They slide into new places as she ponders and tweaks. "Have fun?" she asks, without looking over to me. "No, not really." She smirks humorlessly. "I'm sorry that I was in better company." "Ellie." I step close to the girl and I sit down on the desk right by her as the snow rages beyond the window. "What happened here?" "Look, if you haven't worked it out by now, then you're never really going to get it, Sam," she says. "So you killed yourself and then, is that it? That was your last day? And you go home from school and take your own life?" "Take my own life." "So dramatic," she murmurs. But still, she doesn't look directly at me. One of the monstrous eels shivers its way past the window, and this time I swear that I can hear a deep low hiss to accompany its subtle rumbling. I swallow down a mouthful of fear and I return to awareness of how cold the room is. My breath clouds. Was it quite this cold before? The mood shifts. I've never been much good with stuff like this. It's just as well that I can't physically touch Ellie. Otherwise, I would be trying to work out whether I should awkwardly take her hand or something. "Can I ask why?" I say softly, and she finally stops doing what she's doing and turns to look at me. She chews her tongue for a moment and then shrugs and brushes that loose strand of hair behind her ear. I was sad, I guess, and there was no real chance for me to be less sad going forwards. There was just a lot of stress going on in my life. It was easier for everyone if I wasn't there. Bullshit, I reply, and she stares at me. Excuse me? I said that's bullshit, and suddenly I'm angry. How could you do that to yourself? How could you do something like that? What is wrong with you? Look at all that you've done. You're trapped here and you've messed up the cosmic order of the universe or something. I don't know. Why the hell do you even care so much? She shouts back at me. Why are you even still here? Just go, Sam. It's too late now anyway, it's done. I shoot a look back behind me, tensed and determined. Yeah, we'll see about that. I mutter and I turn my back to her. Sam, stop, she shouts, as I leave her behind for the second time. As I stride right on back towards the mirror, the shadows of the night blown out, billowing behind me. I step forwards and through the shimmering gates of the mirror. I am again surrounded by mist and swirling crystalline smoke, and again my footing is lost. I grit my teeth through the fall and stumble to my side as the hard, cold ground finds its place beneath my feet. I knock into a boy beside me and he grunts with surprise. Hey, watch where you're going, all right? Sorry, I tell him, straightening and putting out an apologetic hand as I check to confirm my surroundings. The sun's position has changed back to the way that it was, back to morning. The school stands before me and the same roster of faces trudge their way up the steps to the entrance. I glance down to my watch hand to confirm the time, to remember that A, I left my watch behind with Ellie, and B, the watch doesn't work anyway. Fine. It makes no matter. It's the dawn of the day, the same day. Final day. I set my jaw and I march my way up the steps and into the building, looking around for her. I bumped into her just over there, was it? Why are you doing this, Sam? Comes her voice from above and all around, but I have the good sense not to shout out into the lobby this time in my response. I keep my head down and my mouth shut. And sure enough, there she is, holding her books to her chest as she rounds the corner and heads my way. She looks so sad. My heart throbs painfully and I push the feeling aside, heading over to her as she approaches. Hey, Ellie. She looks up at me, startled, and stops. Hey, hi, sorry, do I know you? Oh, shoot. No, I mean, yeah, you do. My name's Sam, I'm in the year above you. She wrinkles her nose. No, you aren't. Do you even go to this school? Yeah, right, just kidding. I'm new, sorry, I thought that we had met before, but maybe somebody just told me your name. Sorry. There is an awkward pause. What the hell is wrong with me? Stop apologizing, Sam. Oh, well, nice to meet you. She grimaces and strides right past me. I fume to myself quietly. Oh, you've messed this up already, you idiot. Well, screw it. In for a penny, in for a pound, as they say. I put out my hands. All right, you got me. You know what, Ellie? I'm not in the year above, and I'm not a new kid either. We met earlier this evening, and you were dead. A ghost, and now I'm trying to save you. This is the second time that I played through the school day. She glances over her shoulder at me, but doesn't slow her pace. She laughs awkwardly. Okay, great. Sorry, I really need to go. 8G, right? Good news, I'm coming with you. She clutches her books a little tighter to her chest as she weaves between the taller kids in the corridor. I put a hand on her shoulder. It's soft and warm, but she flinches away from my touch. Please don't touch me, she says quickly. Right, sure, sorry, but look, please just hear me out. I know what you've written in your journal, in the purple one. You've written out your last day. You've got bullet points for apologize to Mrs. Reeves and for clear out locker. She stares at me again as we arrive at the door to 8G. How do you know that? Are you some kind of stalker? What do you want? I want you to not hurt yourself when you go home from school, Ellie, okay? That's what I want. I say this a little too loudly. Hush falls in the corridor as faces turn to ours, and it takes a long, strained moment before the conversations resume, in a lower tone than they had before. Ellie fumes. Why did you have to say that? She hisses, and her eyes start to water and her cheeks flush. My life is none of your concern. Just go away, please. And with this, she turns and pushes through the door into the classroom. And after a beat, I follow. The same spiel plays out as before. Mrs. Reeves asks me to introduce myself to the class, though this time I remember to say my own name. And further, since it's neither recommended by the teacher nor does Ellie seem in any kind of mood now to engage with me, I decide to give her a little bit of space, and I sit instead next to the only other free seat in the room, next to a girl on the opposite side. Hey, she says as I sit down. Hey, so where are you from, new kid? I tell her and she shrugs. Oh, I thought that you might have been from Australia. I hesitate. Why would I be from Australia? She shrugs and goes back to doodling in her book. There is a rumor that we were getting a new kid from Australia is all. Shame, I really like the accent. There's another pause as I process this nonsense and then I chuckle awkwardly. Right, you did just hear me speak though in front of the class. I wasn't really listening. Right. Silence. Mrs. Reeves reads through the register and I tap my knuckles against the desk, and then I gesture over to Ellie. So what's her deal then? Who? Ellie. The girl beside me looks up at once, eyes sparkling and eyebrows raised. She puts down her pen and smirks. And do you like her? I flush and try not to respond to this directly. Just wondering is all. She would definitely date you if you asked. Oh, that's adorable. Bit of warning for you though, new kid. I wouldn't go there. She's not exactly somebody worth associating with. And why is that? I reply, bristled. The girl shrugs. Hey, I mean you can if you want, but why bother? It's not like she's interesting or anything. But hey, it's a free country, so do what you want to do, I guess. I look back to Ellie. She sits quietly with her chin in her hand, staring ahead at nothing in particular. A long and slithering shadow is sent swimming across the room. I feel the seat and the desk rumble as it passes by, but nobody else in the room seems to notice. I swivel in my seat to look behind me through the windows at the back of the class, but there's nothing there. My neighbor looks at me amused. You're strange, she says simply. I reply, still looking through the window for evidence of the watchful, waiting monstrosity. But the bell rings and the morning begins, and it goes in much the same way as it did last time, with a few key differences. Firstly, there's no pretense on my part. I am 100% honest with Ellie. I walked through a mirror to get here. I tell her in the first lesson of the day, whispering to her from the seat behind. I'm not joking. This is the second time that I'm living through the day, honestly. The teacher's going to use an example from his home life in a minute. Listen. We do so, and sure enough the guy starts trying to link the subject matter back to a semi-amusing anecdote from his week. Ellie glances over her shoulder at me. You're freaking me the hell out. I don't know what you're trying to do, but please stop. I'm serious. I've been speaking to your ghost, Ellie. I know that you love mechanics and how things work, watches and stuff. You need to listen to me. This is insane, she hisses back. Who have you been talking to? This is cruel. I release a breath of frustration through my nose. Why would you want to commit suicide? I don't get it. Your life doesn't seem that bad to me, please. Don't do this. Leave me alone. And with that, she turns around and ignores me for the remainder of the lesson, and then sprints away the second that the bell is rang. I run my hands through my hair. This shit is not working. Maybe I should just do as she says, just give up and leave her be. I wonder what she's doing now, Ghost Ellie, if she's watching me somehow, or if she's playing around with the watch or sitting alone huddled in that cold dark room as the monsters close in. I clench and unclench my fingers. I am here for a purpose. I didn't just stumble onto this school by chance. There's a reason, there must be a reason, and Ellie can be saved, I'm sure of it. So I keep on trying. The second lesson, I give her a bit of space and try to come up with a plan. I'm struggling to think though as my eyes feel heavier and heavier with every blink. I've lost track of time and my body clock is all sorts of screwed up right about now. I put my head down and my hands on the desk just for a minute and I try to think. I see in my mind's eye the swirling shadows of the eels, eyes glowing in the wintry gloom as these snow cascades all around. I see Ellie, her hair rippling gently as if underwater. She looks back at me sadly as she rises up and out of my reach into the storm. I can see myself in the blizzard. I see the dark and emptied school collapse all around me and caught in the gale. I see the lights of the street lamps go out one by one as the monsters close the distance. Their jaws crack open with a hiss of icy steam, and I'm jerked awake from my dreams by a shake of my shoulder. "It's Sam, isn't it?" says the teacher, an eyebrow raised as I blink away my sleep. I can hear some of the other students giggling. I can only apologize if my lesson has quite literally bored you to sleep, but do try to stay alert, thank you. I nod apologetically and the teacher returns to the front of the class. I look immediately over to Ellie, but her eyes are downcast. Determination runs through me like a river. Save her. I'm able to follow her to lunch this time. She doesn't escape through the crowd, and so I watch as she gets her food and takes it to a table outside in the sun. It's still pretty cold, but I guess it's where she would rather be. I take a seat not too far away, but one out of her immediate line of sight as I try to plan my next move. I suppress a yawn and mull over my options, and as I do, a group of kids approach her. 2 boys and 3 girls. Ellie is not looking, but the group are clearly egging each other on. I can't hear what they're saying, but one of the girls is shaking her head and laughing. I watch as another one of them raises a plastic bottle and unclasps the lid. As the bottle is aimed and the first girl suddenly reaches over and squeezes the plastic between her hands, and a stream of water is blasted right into the side of Ellie's face, down her clothes and over her food. And the worst part for me is the fact that she doesn't say a damn thing. She stays totally quiet as the group laughs. "Oh my God," one of the girls say. "I'm so sorry. It wasn't me, it was Karina. She did it." And they keep laughing amongst themselves, passing blame as they make a quick and gleeful exit. Ellie only sits there in silence. I get up at once to go over and see if she's okay. "Hey," I say as I get closer, "are you alright?" But it's clear as I draw near that it wasn't water sprayed over her. Based on the smell that rises, thick and strong, it's vinegar. Jesus, I mutter as I stand there beside her awkwardly. That's messed up. Ellie says nothing. Her eyes are covered by her fringe, but her cheeks are a deep scarlet, and she grabs up her backpack and strides suddenly off, leaving her ruined lunch behind. "Hey, wait, are you alright? Ellie!" I call after her, but she sprints away into the building and disappears around a corner. "God damn it," I shout out to no one in particular. A gust of sudden wind rustles my collar. And so the day goes on. Ellie misses the next lesson as she did on the first playthrough, though I know why this time. And when she finally returns to English, the last lesson of the day, I feel my chest tightening as I realize that once again my time is running short. I head right over to her and she takes a step back at my approach, frustrating me further. "Ellie, I'm not your enemy here, for God's sake," I say to her. "Please, just hear me out. You're gonna be picked on to read a passage aloud today, so maybe just read it over a few times in advance to practice. Act 4, Scene 4, I think it was." She squints at me as if trying to read me, searching for something inside perhaps, and I wait patiently for an accusation or an insult. But she says nothing. She simply sighs and walks right past to her seat. I am struck, and not for the first time, by an ethereal kind of deep sadness, one that troubles and dismays me as it washes over me. And as it happens, my advice was useless anyway. Ellie never gets to read out a section of Shakespeare. As the time draws near, instead of watching Ellie get called upon, the head teacher instead opens up the classroom door. The heads of all the students turn to look, and he calls Ellie out from the lesson. The class falls into a hushed silence as she gathers her things and steps outside. And after another minute or two, I excuse myself to the bathroom and I set off in pursuit. It takes me a good 5 minutes to locate the head's office, but once I do, I crack the door, cringing as I do so and hoping not to be discovered. And I listen in. "Very troubling, Ellie," comes the voice of the head, and then he pauses. But there is no response from the girl in question. He speaks on. "We take threats of suicide very seriously, young lady. Very seriously indeed. Now, I wasn't there this morning, and I don't know exactly what was said." I grimace and think back to what I had blurted out to Ellie in front of all those people. "But it's important that we talk through this. You always can rely on us here." Ellie snorts humorlessly. The head clears his throat and continues. "And we have arranged for you to speak with the school's counselor tomorrow morning. This will continue for as long as necessary. I will also, of course, need to inform your parents." Ellie changes her tune here. I can sense the sudden desperation in her voice as she begs. "No, sir, please don't call my parents. Please, it was a dumb joke. Sir, honestly, you don't need to call them. Please don't." "I'm sorry, Ellie, but I have a duty of care." And with this, Ellie breaks down. My guilt is sharp as she cries behind the door, and I take my leave. What's the damn point? I return to English and I wait for her to come back, but she doesn't. Then at the end of the day, I am again waiting by the steps to the school at 2:59 p.m. There goes Ellie. She walks right by with her backpack full. I call out to her and she picks up the pace. The air grows thick. "No," I mutter out loud. "Not again, please." A gust of wind ruffles through my hair and rustles the collar of my coat. It's becoming harder to speak out, and I'm forced to project to raise my voice beyond a whisper. And there's that sensation again, that feeling of walking through water. I struggle against the winds and the thickness of its air. The lowering sun glints orange and sends Ellie's shadow long and dark back towards me as the gap between us widens. And all around us return the eels, slow yet rumbling as they push aside the air as they form from mist and shadow. They look down to the girl, hungry and eyes aglow. They are closer this time. One looks over to me, its hazy yellow eye meets mine, and the clouds shimmer behind and beside. I'm lost within it as I call out for her, but my voice simply does not work in this moment. My sight is obscured and I close my eyes tight shut. When I open them again, I am stumbling to the floor of the classroom. I trip and crash into a nearby desk with a grunt and grab hold of the counter beside me for balance. It takes a second or two for the world to stop spinning. I catch my breath and watch as Ellie plays with her holograph on the watch. She carefully moves a gear into the new location. I wait for her to speak and eventually she does. She winks and sticks her tongue out at me. "Oh, no luck again, huh?" I am met with a sudden anger and I rise up to full height. "What the hell is wrong with you? This isn't a game. I'm trying to save your life." "I didn't ask you to do a damn thing. she shouts back. Why do you even care so much about me? I throw out my hands. What do you want, Ellie? Do you want these things to get you? These eels in the sky? What even are they? Do you want to be saved? Ellie makes an ooh sound. What a big hero we have over here, she says sarcastically. The big hero wants to save the poor girl. Well, it's too late. My decision was made and hell, I don't regret it. I'm fine, it's done. It's done and I feel great. You feel great, she shrugs. Sure, why not? I'm not scared, I'm not afraid, I'm not terrified about what's going to happen next. There is no next. I'm free, Sam, I'm free. Well, if that's true, I say, then why not let those things outside come and get you? Why not leave the building and let them take you wherever? Then you'll truly be gone forever, I guess. Or wherever they take you. If they're even supposed to be here at all. To this, Ellie says nothing. She brushes a strand of her hair behind her ear and she looks out the window. The room, I suddenly realize, appears smaller than it was before. The desks and chairs are more closely clumped and the shadows are darker. The students' paintings hung up and across the walls were their colors always so dark. And some of them, the self-portraits, the eyes, no longer look as they did. The lines and these scratches in the paint appear more pronounced. The snowstorm rages, and the monsters drift through the wind. This place is getting smaller, isn't it? I ask Ellie, looking around. The walls are closing in, literally. She nods and gives me a half smile. It won't be long now, I should think. I slump back down on the desk and watch the snow, thick and white against the glass. I look down on my wrist to get a sense of the time, but of course, there's no watch. And as always, the watch is broken anyway. I turn to observe Ellie play with it for a minute, or at least the holographic spectral representation of the thing. So how come you're so into that stuff then? I ask her, and she glances at me and brushes her hair from her eyes. It's just the intricacy of the mechanisms, she replies. Rotating gears, all turning and spinning together to make something work. I just think that it's fascinating. They make a thing greater than the sum of their parts. I nod quietly as I watch. She shoots me a look. Well, aren't you going to make fun of me? Why would I do that? I reply. I agree. You agree? Yeah, I mean, I'm no engineer, but my expertise isn't to quite the same level as yours. I point to the ghostly gears and pieces of watch, spread out as they are in the air above us. But it's still interesting. She says thoughtfully. We sit quietly for a while. After a few minutes, she sticks out her tongue in thought and furrows her brow, experimenting with the watch pieces and trying them in different locations, and I try to force down a rush of feeling. We're running out of time, aren't we? I say. Time, she echoes and then nods. Yeah, we are. I don't want those things to get you, Ellie, and I don't want to be left here alone. I told you, Sam, she says, but she says it gently. There's nothing keeping you here. The door is still there for now. You could leave if you want. Yeah, there is something keeping me here, I say quietly. I can't just leave you behind. It's okay, she says, but I shake my head. Tell me about you, I say, and she stops, and then swivels on the edge of the desk that she sat on to face me. She cocks her head. Tell you about me, I shrug. Sure, what's your story? My story? She laughs, and it's a nice sound, though it fades quickly. She rubs her arm and looks down to the floor. There's not much to tell. My dad was military, and so we moved around a lot until recently. My parents are nice enough people, but they're so cold. I could never talk to them, but I also couldn't stand letting them down. She sighs. I was one of those gifted kids. The ones that people make memes of nowadays. Wasted potential, etc. Honestly, it's a lame story. I like to draw. I like opening things up to see how they work and screwing around with gears and bolts. I moved to this school 2 years ago because I was bullied at the last one. It's technically better here, I guess, but nothing works for me. Nothing works out for me. And I was sick of it, Sam. Sick of not being in control. And so I took control and I made a choice, and I should stand by it. She looks right at me, but I don't see surety in her eyes. I don't know what it is that I see. And what about you? She asks. What's your story, crazy boy who wandered into my school? Pretty normal. I was born further north but moved here when I was really young. I go to St. Richard's School. I don't know that one, Ellie replies. Yeah, it's pretty far away. I don't know how I ended up here, to be honest. It's just where the bus dropped me off. It never gets lost, but last night I guess it did. I sigh. I like football, my favorite color's green. School's pretty okay for me, I guess. I'm not one of the popular kids, but, I do okay. She nods. And this watch, it's old. Did you get it passed down to you? Yeah, it was my grandpa's originally. That's cool. So why did he give it to you? She asks. Oh, he didn't give it to me specifically. He originally gave it to my older brother. It still worked back then. So did your brother gift it to you after he broke it? Not exactly. I reply with a sad smile. I inherited it after he died. Oh, Ellie says, as the dulled sound of the storm rumbles softly outside. I'm sorry. Do you mind me asking how he died? I hesitated, but then... He killed himself, actually. Oh. And we say nothing for a while after that. A long, long while. The terrible shadow of a drifting eel passes over the classroom, and it brings with it renewed, both the lasting and the very active fears that I've been battling with since the beginning. Let me help you, Ellie, I say to her softly. I watch as quiet tears start to run down her face. Sam, I'm sorry, it's just too late. Too late? No, I refuse to believe it. And so without another word, I rise from the desk. I turn and I grip my teeth and I return to the mirror, striding on through and wincing as I'm once again enveloped by swirling mists and glass-like fogs. I clench my jaw and with a little stumble, I land this time on my feet as the vapor-like mists are blown out from my shoes and disappear into nothingness. I struggle with a momentary bout of queasiness, but I force it away. I open my eyes, and there is the school, as always. Kids hanging around and heading on inside. And above, drifting through the air, is one of the creatures. Shadowy smoke like black. It slithers over the building with a low hiss. I watch, paralyzed as it cracks open its jaw, showing me its monstrous teeth as it swims quietly overhead. It brings with it the cold, a chill that shivers across me as I watch the monster disappear into the air, fading away as quickly as it had appeared. I've got to make this one count. I break the spell and jump up the steps and into the building. I ease my way through the crowd and wait by the corridor that I know she's going to come from. Any second now, and there she is. Hey, I say to her as casually as possible, and she looks up at me, in her world for the first time. Hi, she replies cautiously, and I gesture to the handfuls of books that she's carrying. Can I give you a hand? She looks at me in confusion as kids wind their way around us and through the lobby. With your stuff, I mean. I can help you carry it if you want. Oh, she says. No, it's fine, but thank you though. Sure. Hey, could I walk with you? She hesitates again and looks around, looking for some evidence that this is a trap or a play of some kind, and my heart goes out to her. Yeah, that's fine. She says quietly, and so we walk together, through the lobby and down the halls to 8G. So, are you new here then, or? Yeah, I reply. I'm new. I'm Sam, by the way. Ellie. She gives me a quick half smile. I'm going to register right now. I'm in 8G with Mrs. Reeves. Oh, yeah, that's the same for me. Is she nice, Mrs. Reeves? Yeah, Ellie replies, and I detect a little melancholy in her voice. She is nice. I have to talk to her today. Oh yeah, how come? I ask, and again she hesitates as she thinks on how to respond. I just need to apologize for some stuff. She's a good teacher, and I feel like I'm letting her down. If she's really a good teacher, then I'm sure she would disagree or understand at least. I offer, but Ellie only shrugs as we enter into the classroom. Once the kids have all settled down, I am once again asked to introduce myself. I give the correct name and coolly take my seat beside Ellie. I suppress a series of yawns and have to force my eyes open at various intervals as the morning progresses. I'm so damn tired. I am perhaps also a little too overbearing in my attempts to get Ellie to open up. I can imagine you, reader, shouting at me to chill the hell out, and I get it, but cut me some slack. I'm under a lot of stress here and time is not on my side. I'm just trying to help this girl, okay? Since she seems so reluctant to do it herself. I tell her about when I was bullied as a young kid, try to get her to open up in turn. She is sympathetic but a closed book. She's so different to how she is in that classroom, compared with the ghost Ellie. But I persist. She gets frustrated with me at lunch when I refuse to let her sit outside. I try to steer her elsewhere, but she doesn't understand why, nor can I really explain why. I am distant during the mealtime conversation as I watch with one eye over her shoulder, making sure that the group with the bottle of vinegar don't come this way. And when it comes time for her to speak out in English, I cringe through her dreadful reading, but I do my best to nod along and to seem supportive. It's fine, I whisper from beside her. Just take your time. But she shoots me a look and I'm not sure if she even appreciated my support, or was only embarrassed by it. And by the day's end, as the lesson draws to a close and we're in the process of gathering up our belongings. Hey Ellie, so, what are you up to this evening? I ask her and she laughs nervously. What? This evening, what are you up to after school? Oh, I'm busy, lots of stuff to do. Maybe we could do it together. I gather my courage. Maybe I could come around. The kid at the desk beside us shoots me a look and a smirk. Ellie flushes. You want to come around to my house? Sure. Why? Why? Because I struggle for justification and I swallow my pride. Because I like you and I want to spend time with you. You like me? No, you don't. You've known me for a day. Her body language becomes more uncomfortable, restless. I'm also not thrilled by this rejection. I'm no ladies' man, but I didn't think that I was that bad of a catch. I think it could be fun. I manage, glancing down to my non-existent watch, and then up at the clock on the wall. 2:57. Sorry, Sam, I'm not sure. I'm just worried about you, Ellie, is all. I say, conscious of the time ever ticking away. This makes her pause. She repeats my words. Why would you be worried about me, Sam? I shrug and try to deflect. I don't know, you seemed a little sad today. I seemed a little sad. Geez, is there an echo in here? I chuckle anxiously. Sam, you've known me for a day. How do I seem a little sad? I just don't want you being alone tonight, that's all. Maybe I could come back and spend some time with you at your place. She takes a retreating step and adopts a cold, defensive stance. You know that something's up, don't you? What do you know, Sam? What's going on? I glance to the clock. The other kids have all filtered out of the room now. 2:58. It's only Ellie and I. Ellie, I just don't want you to do anything stupid. Something that you might regret, I guess. There's still so much to be positive about. You have so much value in your life, even if you don't see it. Ellie puts a sudden hand to her mouth to repress an escaping sob. I begin to panic as her eyes start to fill with tears. It's that obvious. You've known me for a day, and you already know, don't you, that I hate my life. If you can see it, then who else can? Does everybody know? And nobody gives a shit. She chokes out her words. I'm just done, Sam. I'm so done with all of it. Ellie, it's okay, I didn't. But Ellie runs off. Through the door and down the halls I take after her. Ellie! But through the school she goes, out and descending the little stone steps in long strides, and the air grows thick. No! I scream. Please just stop! A gust of wind ruffles through my hair and rustles the collar of my coat. There's that sensation again, the feeling of running through water. I struggle against the winds and the thickness of its air. The lowering sun glints orange and sends Ellie's shadow long and dark back towards me as the gap between us widens. No! I cry out. No! And all around us are those terrible, nightmarish creatures. They seem faster now, slicker in their movements, rumbling as they push aside the air, slithering through the growing mists and deepening darkness. They look down to Ellie, hungry and eyes aglow. The sky, it would suddenly seem, is full of them. They shimmer with the clouds, and my line of sight is lost beneath billowing mists and swirling fogs. I'm falling, my throat hoarse and hands clenched as the winds rush past my face. And here I am, stumbling and staggering to the floor of the classroom through the mirror. I keep my footing, but I knock into a group of clustered chairs upon my return. I grab a hold of a desk for balance as I catch my breath, and I wait for the world to stop spinning. I retch as my chest rises and falls. I look up to see Ellie sat there cross-legged on the counter. She isn't playing with the watch this time. She makes no jokes. She's just looking at me in silence. The counter is closer to the mirror than it was before. The room is smaller, yet the window, it seems, is wider. I can see the monstrous eels swimming patiently in the world beyond, drifting through the snow and the storm and the darkness. The rumbling is ever present now, anticipatory and warning. I can feel the vibrations through the wood of the desk. They're closing in. Slowly but surely the walls are closing in, and the window is widening and the storm is growing stronger. I sigh. I keep failing, Ellie. She says nothing. Do you even want to be saved? Again, she says nothing. I don't get angry though this time. I just rub my jaw and I look through the window. I'm not some delicate flower that needs saving, Sam, she says. I can't just sit by and watch you throw your life away. I made my choice, Sam, it's done. But it doesn't have to be, it doesn't. The mirror, the creatures, you've been given a second chance, don't you get it? And you have to take it, you have to take it. It's my life and I'm allowed to do with it what I choose. But is this what you want, Ellie? What you actually want? It can't be. I'm sure of it, I've seen it in your eyes. A part of you regrets this, all of this. I'm not happy when I'm alive, Sam, she says firmly. And I was tired, so tired. And now I'm free. But don't you get it, don't you see? The way that you are now, inquisitive and funny and lively, and you give out as good as you get. You're self-assured and confident. She flushes. This, Ellie, is how you could be all the time when you're alive. I'm not saying it's easy, but practice makes perfect. A change of mindset is a good start. Get some meds, some professional advice, and a change in how you project yourself. I stumble over my words. I know that I'm spewing a lot of cliches here, but I'm speaking from the heart. In the corner of my eye, I catch glimpses of the painted portraits across the walls. Clumped together now, there is essentially no wall space between them. The faces are dark and twisted, scary and unsettling. I struggle to focus on them for too long as one struggles to focus on faces in a dream. Ellie looks to my grandfather's watch, majestic but broken on the surface of the desk. She puts out a hand and the projected gears and cogs all spin in an intricate pattern right above it. And very softly she says one more thing. You can't fix a person's head in a day, Sam. No, perhaps not, but I can convince them to live till tomorrow. And so I turn, exhausted. Shadows swim in the corners of my vision and my movements seem paradoxically both airy and sluggish, but I stride onwards. With the rumble of the eels and the hiss of their terrible jaws in the back of my head, with the roar of the winds in my ears, with body bruised but constitution sharp, I go for one more time. And this will be the last time. I can feel it. No more chances now as I make my final march to the mirror between the worlds. So, through the mirror I go, wary but bitterly determined. Ellie wants to live. She might still be too stubborn to admit it, but she wants to live, and I can see it, I can feel it. I know what a will to live looks like, damn it, and what the lack of one looks like too. The world warps around me. The rumbling and the hissing grows louder as that crystalline smoke and mist blows up and around my face and the wind roars. But I land squarely on my feet. The clouds dissipate and without skipping a beat, I head directly towards the school doors. The shadows seem darker now. There are monsters in the air, I can see them, though I pay them no mind, ignoring the fear that tries to take its hold on me as I walk. As I approach the front doors, I allow a deep breath before heading inside. All around me is the typical childlike bustle of a relatively mundane school day, supposedly at least, but this is anything but. It is extraordinary. It is extraordinary because I get to spend it with Ellie, with the most interesting girl that I've ever met. And there she is. She hasn't noticed me yet, but she approaches, clutching her books to her chest. I gather my courage, and from above comes a voice. Ask me about my jacket, she says in a whisper. Make sure to ask about the jacket. I log her words as her past self enters into speaking distance. Hey, I say to her, and she stops and looks up at me. I smile, and cautiously she smiles back. I shrug apologetically. Sorry to bother you, I say with a lopsided grin that comes all too naturally. I'm new here, I pause. Well, kind of, I'm only here for the day really, and I think I'm supposed to start in 8G? Oh, she replies, yeah, I'm in 8G. Do you want me to show you? I nod. Yeah, that would be great, thanks. And after she gestures, I fall in step alongside. I comment on her coat. I like your jacket. It's true. She looks at me, gauging my authenticity. For real? For sure, it's cool. She tucks a strand of loose hair behind her ear. Thanks, she says, and I hear warmth in her voice. My name is Ellie, by the way. It's nice to meet you. And you, I reply. My name is Sam. And so the day goes on, a day like so many before it, a day uniquely and tragically beautiful. Many days are, I start to realize, when one cares to consider. I actually pay attention to her as a person today, not just as a project to fix. I noticed for the first time the flash of a shining silver watch of her own beneath her sleeve, and I ask her to show it to me. She does so gladly. I ask her where she got it, and she says that it was a gift from her parents for good grades, about 3 or so years ago. She gets sad and tells me that she doesn't do so well in school anymore. She finds it harder and harder to focus, to care. Her grades are slipping and she feels like they'll never come back up. I just don't have the right headspace, she murmurs to me as she doodles in the corner of her textbook. I doubt that, I reply. I don't know how to advise you, but I really believe that you can get back into the zone. Someone like you can find a way back. She scoffs, but I catch a little smile as she does so. I talk to her about my own watch, how it's broken and timeless. I describe it to her and she suggests some ideas on how to fix the thing. But of course, her suggestions go in one ear and out the other. She laughs when she catches the expression of cluelessness on my face and the day goes on. I sit with her at lunch, on the little table just outside. I watch as the bitterly familiar group of kids approach, 2 boys and 3 girls. They aren't in Ellie's line of sight, but they're clearly in the process of egging each other on. I wait for them to approach, but it's taking them longer to do so this time. I think my presence here is making it harder for them to make up their minds. I decide to call them out preemptively. "You guys okay over there?" I said, amiably enough. They laugh as if sharing some intense and intimate joke. They come a little closer. "You two having fun?" One of the boys says as a girl glances to her friend with a grin, raising the water bottle filled with vinegar at the 2 of us, moving to unscrew the lid. I reach up and I grab it right out of her hand. As expected, the group acts as if I've done them such a great dishonor. "Chill, what the hell?" one of them says. "You were going to squirt this right at us," I reply. "We weren't," a girl replies. "Yes, you were," I reply deadpan. Ellie watches with a raised eyebrow. She seems less intimidated this time, more bemused. "Hey, we were just screwing around, man," says one of the boys. "Right," is my only reply. I let the word hang dead in the air, waiting until they continue their laughter and go about their way, and on with their conversations. But crucially, Ellie and I are able to go on with ours. And then when lunch comes to an end, I tell Ellie that I'll meet up with her in class and I take a little detour. I approach the bench that they're sitting on and raise the bottle up high, opening the lid and blasting a cold stream of vinegar into the backs of all their heads. I take off, laughing as they scream and squeal with distress. The hours of the day roll by. I push through my exhaustion, doing my best to brush away Ellie's concern when she comments on it. I just smile at her and hope that the dark circles beneath my eyes are at the least somewhat aesthetic. The orange-yellow glow of the sun filters in through the classroom windows. It catches in her hair as she brushes it behind her ear, and it glints with a watery shine in the pools of her eyes. The sound of the general muttering and murmuring of our classmates is a faint but steady backing melody from all around, accompanied by the occasional scrape of a chair and the scribbling of pens on paper. No one but me notices as the orange-yellow light is lost beneath sudden shadow, as an arctic breeze blows in from the only open window, as the blinds are thrown back from the glass, and the enormous, spectral eel from beyond the plane drifts hungrily past. Closer than ever before, I hear it rumble. It shakes the desks and rattles the wall as it swims impossibly by, black-gray and slick, terrible in its pursuit. I do my best not to react as its hiss shivers through the shade. I try to still the fear that has plagued me since the beginning. I try to block the monster from my mind's eye. The clock on the wall of the classroom ticks, and after a shiver, the light returns. When English comes around, I volunteer to speak in Ellie's place. I offer to read aloud the passage of Romeo and Juliet before the teacher can call upon her. And hey, I do flub some of the harder sentences, but I do a pretty good job. To be honest, I think that most of the kids in class were relieved to some degree or another that they didn't have to suffer through the anxiety of being picked on either. The day, as it always eventually does, is drawing to a close. 2:57 p.m. The teacher lets us out early and we walk, Ellie and I, side by side down the length of the corridors as the bustle and clamor filters out through the doors around us. Each footstep feels heavy. The sound of the clocks grow louder and louder with each tick of the hands, and each blink feels heavier and heavier on my eyes. "Hey," Ellie says to me as we leave the day behind us, as our imprints drift and dance from place to place in the building's memories. "I was wondering, do you have a Snapchat or anything?" Sure, I reply, reaching for my phone. But of course it isn't there, and I cannot for the life of me remember my username. I apologize and I tell her this. She shrugs and brushes a strand of hair behind her ear. That's no worry, here's mine. She reaches into her bag for her purple journal and tears off a corner of a page, scribbling her username down onto the paper before handing it to me. Or you could just give it to me tomorrow if you want. I shift. I'm not quite sure if it's my imagination, but I swear that I can hear the steady repetitive beat of a drum in the distance, over and over in time to the ticking of the clocks. Ellie, the thing is, I say as we pass through the lobby and out the doors into the brisk, cool air beyond. I don't think that I'm going to be here tomorrow. In fact, I definitely won't be. I'm just passing through. She stops and turns to look at me. Oh, she says, that's right. There's a pause. You know, I never did ask you. What's the reason for that? Why would a kid like you just show up to a school for a single day and then just disappear? I smile at her, but I fear that it doesn't quite reach my eyes. The light of the steadily lowering sun shines bright on her face. It's like I'm seeing her in high definition as the breeze gently rustles her hair. She adjusts her bag and cocks her head at me. The clock ticks. Ellie, I have to go now. I say simply, trying to keep the emotion in my voice to a minimum. Can she feel it? Can she feel the intensity and the importance of this moment? You have to go now, she laughs. So dramatic. She knocks me on the shoulder and after an intimate hesitation, she passes me by and sets off down the road and steadily away from the school. I don't know what I'm going to do without you though, she calls back over her shoulder. A joke, sure, but its depth does not go unnoticed. You only met me today, I call to her as the wind blows, ruffling my hair and rustling the collar of my coat. Who knows who you'll meet tomorrow? The air thickens all around and the lowering sun glints orange. It sends Ellie's shadow long and dark back towards me as the gap between us widens, but it illuminates her silhouette, a bright outline of shimmering golden light. I take a difficult step forwards, and I am for the last time falling through the mist and swirling crystalline fogs. The wind rushes past my face and ears and the gale is loud as I breathe in a blast of icy, wintry air. Tears run from my eyes against my will, and I stumble through the surface of the mirror and into the familiar deserted classroom with a crash. And when I find the strength to look up, it truly is deserted this time, dark and empty. There is no one else here. There is no Ellie. I wipe a sleeve across my eyes. The shape and size of the place has returned to its original metrics, and the lights I don't fail to notice are all off. No yellow light filters in through the glass of the classroom door from the corridor. The pictures and the paintings on the wall no longer appear frightening or in any way threatening, and while my heart beats fast, there do not appear to be any great monsters drifting through the snowstorm outside. Ellie? I murmur, but there is no response. She's gone. And you know, I think it might just be time that I left as well. And so I take my grandfather's watch from its place on the desk and hastily attach it around my wrist, pushing out through the door and walking steadily through the cold shadows and down the stairs, through corridor after corridor until I have returned to the lobby. I pass by the emblem of the school emblazoned on the wall. Ad Malora ad Elusam. I'll research it when I get home. I'll find out where this place is exactly, and the coordinates if I have to just in case. I reach into my pocket for Ellie's note, the one that she tore from her purple journal, but it's not there. To my frustration, I find that too is gone. I struggle with an emotion that I find difficult to describe. Was I successful? Was I enough? Did I save her? Did I save Ellie? Or was I too late? I hesitate at the entrance to the school. I turn and take one last long look around the lobby. One final check, waiting and hoping that Ellie might appear to me one last time, to let me know that she's okay, to say goodbye at the least. But she does not appear and nothing happens. The wind whistles beyond the doors, and so I take my leave. I push on out into the cold as my hair is blown back from my head, and I stride out into the snow and the haze, trudging through it and back to the road, following the familiar glow of the street lamps, continuing my way and pushing ever forward. I see her face in my mind's eye. I hear her voice in my head. I have to get home now, I think to myself, before I collapse from exhaustion into the snow. My parents are probably worried sick after all. I don't even know how long I've been lost. I raise my watch to my face and squint through the snow. It catches in the orange glint of the street lamps, and it ticks. I pause for a second beneath the overhead glow, and I watch as the intricate hands of my grandfather's then brother's watch go surely and steadily around. Dutifully around the face of the watch they go, ticking on and on as they were always supposed to. Huh, I murmur aloud as I set off into the storm. I woke up with a pulsing headache, a throbbing pain at the back of my head. The world was dizzying for a moment, and I couldn't even properly make out any shapes or colors. As I came to, I soon realized that I was handcuffed to what looked like a school desk. A quick study of my surroundings told me that this was accurate. There was a man right alongside me, also on the floor, cuffed to a desk, and behind him another, and behind him another. I was in some kind of classroom, with at least a dozen or so people, all of whom seemed to be chained up. My eyes took in the surrounding posters and the artwork. There were children's drawings and safety reminders all scattered across the wall, most of them older than I was. And then my attention went to the front of the class, the blackboard where a teacher should have been to instruct. In its place was a simple, concise message, written in chalk and large enough for all of us to read. Tornado drill, 8:05 a.m. I checked the clock on the wall. According to it, we only had a few minutes before the event was supposed to happen, so I talked fast. Hey you, where are we? I asked, kicking the man's foot next to me. His eyes flared at me suspiciously. Like I would know. How should I know? I decided to not bother talking to him anymore, and I turned to my left. A petite young woman was there. What about you? Do you remember how we got here? I asked, yanking on the handcuffs. The sound they made as they rattled against the desk was echoing everywhere. I was in the mall with my boyfriend, and we were headed toward the food court when I don't remember anything after that, she admitted timidly. I could tell by the look on her face that she was more worried about the boy than her own safety, but something told me that pretty soon that would change. The clock struck 8:05 a moment later, and suddenly this shrill scratching noise came on over the PA intercom. This system had to date back to prior the 1980s. I thought to myself as I tried to cut my free hand over my ear and hold my head against the desk. Attention class of 2021, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. A very strange voice announced. It was difficult to say for sure what gender it even was. It didn't sound quite human. And then there was a sharp click and a grainy old recording of the American flag pledge came on over the speakers. As it finished, all of us looked at one another in confusion and fear. What was going on? Attention room 3, your tornado drill will begin now. Move to the hallway. How the heck are we supposed to do that? I said out loud. Not that I expected the strange machine to respond. Instead, there was a loud rattling from above, and it made me look at the ceiling of the room for the first time. Above every desk, there was an air vent, and on cue, those vents opened. And then abruptly, loud noises and shards of glass spit out from the vents and straight towards us. I reacted in a moment, yanking my body toward the floor as the broken glass sliced across the back of my neck. Using the top of the desk as cover, I did my best to huddle there. A portion of my thigh and right foot damaged from the sudden unexpected rush of projectiles. Others in the class weren't so lucky. A man sitting 2 desks in front of me had a glass shard impaled straight in the neck. A woman had several hit her across her cheek, and the rain of sharp blades continued to come. "The hallway," the woman beside me shouted. "We can scoot the desks and use them for cover." I nodded and slowly pushed my desk that was acting as a shield as the rest of the ceiling. It seemed to rumble and shake, and the broken glass was now being replaced by more dangerous burning chemicals. Those that weren't under their desks were given second-degree burns as we all shouted for them to take cover and then move. The hallway felt like it was a lifetime away. I pushed the desk slowly, doing my best to try and time the pattern of the falling chemicals in the glass. My hands were already burned from the hot toxins, and my shins were bleeding. I just needed to get out of here, I resolved as I pushed toward the door. Some of the others were fighting for the door, trying to shove through and pull their desks along. I knew that there would be no way that we could escape as long as we were all shackled down. And then I looked up at the burning acid and had a horrible realization. "We need to let these chemicals burn through these cuffs," I told the girl. I held my arm at a specific angle and then scooted my desk toward the proper position. I bit my tongue and held in a scream as the torturous acid hit my skin and the metal at the same time. It only took about 10 seconds for me to be free. And at the same time, I ran through the door, urging the others to do the same. The girl managed to pull through with only minor burns and 3 others. And then we heard a strange clang and realized that the class door was sealed shut. The ones that didn't make it out were now slamming their hands against the door, trying to wriggle the knob, but it was pointless. Next, we watched as the vents reversed flow and sucked the other people in the class toward the ceiling. It was like watching a real twister take up houses. All of them slammed against the roof of the classroom as we watched from the safety of the hallway. And just like that, the nightmarish event seemed over and I was standing in the hallway, looking down at my burnt, shaking hands. The other survivors were turning their attention to our new location, a long tile hallway that seemed to connect to at least a dozen other classrooms just like ours. And much like us, others had escaped their horrible classrooms at the last minute and were trying their best to cope and recover in the hallway. We all shared the same beaten and confused expression, none of us sure where we were or how we got here. "Attention class of 2021, please make your way to the main auditorium for a word from our principal," a voice said over the intercom. Then the lights in the hallway came on fully to illuminate the path toward the right. I looked to the others for ideas, uncertain of what we should do. There was an emergency exit nearby, but it didn't take one guess to assume that it was sealed shut. So instead, all of us shuffled our feet down the hallway, following the guiding light to our next room. We soon arrived at what looked like to be a cafeteria with long tables all arranged with simple school breakfast. Packaged donuts, boxed milk, fruit bowls. At least 30 meals were all lined up and ready for us as we had entered the room. A couple of survivors went to check the exits, and none of which had any windows toward the outside, while the rest of us settled in and decided to eat. Surprisingly, the food was delicious and fresh. "Our captors must want us somewhat healthy," I said as I carefully opened the milk, my hand still shaking. And then I saw a shadow cross the back curtain of the stage that overlooked the cafeteria. Immediately, I jumped up and pointed, and a few others saw it too. "Who goes there?" one man shouted aloud. The shadow paused. It looked unnaturally tall. And then we heard this strange, obnoxious laugh. A second later, and the curtain pushed back and revealed a costume mascot. A large, stuffed animal costume that resembled a walrus, with a goofy cartoon smile and enormous, floppy arms. From the center of the stage came a microphone that rose up toward the walrus's mouth. "Well, what a squeaky clean group you are. Welcome, class of 2021. Welcome to final school," it announced happily. I couldn't tell for sure if this thing was a robot or a person in a suit. "Today has been fun, but don't forget here at final school, the fun can only last until the bell rings, and then it's time to learn. "Are you for real? What is this?" one man asked again. He abruptly jumped toward the stage, ready to attack the mascot. A moment later, two children pushed their way out from the curtain and stood in the way of his attack. It made the moment pause in confusion, and that was all that it took. One kid whipped out what looked like a cattle prod and struck the man straight in his chest with it. He flew back hard to the tile floor, coughing and wheezing. And then a few other children appeared alongside the mascot, all of them wearing genetic uniforms, and all of them looked like they were emotionally disconnected to whatever the heck was going on. "Remember to play nice," the walrus chuckled. Just as he had finished, we heard a buzz and the doors to the cafeteria had unsealed themselves. "Recess," the kids all squealed as they ran back behind the curtains and out of sight. All of us that had survived the initial insanity gave each other a long stare, and then we bolted for the doors. I could see sunlight and I was ready to taste fresh air, but it was all a mirage. The moment that we stepped out to the playground, I suddenly realized that I wasn't looking the sky at all. It was some strange reflective surface that covered the entire surrounding area. "It's like we're trapped in a giant fishbowl," one man had realized. I got a good look at the playground. There was plenty of equipment, all of which seemed to be in good working order, and a long tall fence with barbed wire that surrounded us on all sides. Just as the last survivor came out, the cafeteria door slammed shut. "No entry until the bell rings," a sign said on the doors as we looked around and tried to get our bearings. This has got to be some kind of crazy dream. What is this, Lord of the Flies? A woman asked as she had approached a tall juniper tree that was growing near the center of the playground. There were names carved on it, hundreds of them, and tally marks too. Counting the days stuck in here, I realized as I saw that they covered the entire base of the tree. And then we heard a strange whirring noise and we watched as some of the equipment seemed to move on its own as if someone was using it. Something tells me this is going to be worse than before, the man said as the ground below us started to shift from grass to sand. One man was standing there watching as it did and then realizing that he was sinking even as I climbed onto a jungle gym. "It's quicksand," I shouted to the others. Everyone frantically ran as the sand started to swallow people whole. Half of us made it to the different pieces of equipment, using them as lifelines until the strange sand had disappeared. And then we heard a bell from the cafeteria ring and saw the children standing and beckoning us back inside. I cautiously touched the ground, looking at all of the different splotches of blood that were trailing the grounds, and I swallowed my breath. Something told me that there would not be any graduating ceremony anytime soon. We all lined up on a brick wall with bleachers facing opposite of us in what looks like an old school gymnasium. This entire place has been built to resemble the type of places that we went to as children, but I know that it can't be the same thing, considering all the insane stuff we have endured thus far. There are still plenty of us alive, but from the moment that we stepped into the gym, I realized that probably wouldn't last long. The children that seemingly were in charge of this place lined up on either side of the squeaky clean tile floor. All of them were holding a bright and shiny red leather ball. I knew immediately what we're going to play, even as one boy steps up to the middle and holds the ball up. PE will include dodgeball, jump rope, and then a physical fitness class. Remember to do your best. I'm so sore from the other incidents that I wonder if I'll even have the ability to make it through these unscathed. But I know that I don't have a choice. We work together and we can make it out of here, the petite girl next to me said as a whistle was blown. A second later, the spheres the children were holding changed from harmless, ordinary dodgeballs to spiky, dangerous, urchin-type objects. I knew one hit from those sharp protrusions would likely kill us if it struck a vital organ. Immediately, the children began to hurl the dense weapons towards us, the heavy balls surprisingly bouncing and moving across the gym floor with ease. We had little chance to do much else besides run. Toward the bleachers, one man shouted excitedly. A woman beside him was struck in the head with the spiky object, the full force of the needles piercing her face and knocking her down. As soon as it did, I also noticed that the needle seemed to latch onto her cheek, preventing her from being able to remove it. A moment later, as we ran, I realized why that was. We heard this soft, rhythmic beeping noise coming from the dodgeball. It got faster and faster as I understood it was counting down. And then the latched weapon exploded directly on the woman's face, ending her instantly. The man to the right of us was a little luckier, if you consider the loss of a limb better than dying, and his right leg was blown up from the force of another object. As he hobbled and crawled toward the bleachers, he begged the children to stop. But they all looked at him with emotionless eyes and then raised their weapons, smashing it down on his pleading body. We turned away before the explosion caused them to scatter across the gym. "This is madness," a woman snarled as she rushed toward one of the children. I watched as the dodgeball struck her straight into the chest, but she kept running, tackling one of the children. To my horror, the bomb went off, taking them both out. And then a sharp alarm noise came overhead, and all of the children stopped what they were doing. A moment later, the mascot entered, the ridiculous costume creature, waddling over to where the kid had died and examining the scene. It occurred to me that the children seemed to be in awe of the mascot, as though awaiting its order. Was it the one that was really in control here? "Looks like all of you will be getting detention," it said in that same no voice. Was it even human? "Enough of this. Who's in charge here?" one man snapped. He stepped toward the walrus boldly, and I fully expected to see that the children might attack again. But instead, the stuffed walrus held up a flipper and kept them at bay, remarking, "All class members who make it to the end of the day will be hearing an important message from the principal at our award ceremony." "I think this thing is just a freaking robot," the girl commented. I realized that I felt silly for not even thinking of that a moment ago, and watched as the walrus left with the remains of the child. Whoever was running the show clearly cared a little about the kids that were here, but why none of them seemed to be remotely acting like regular children was beyond me. And before I really had a chance to even ponder it, the main kid in charge announced that we were beginning the next activity. "Please choose a partner for jump rope," the children ordered. I looked toward the girl, figuring that with her slim figure, it was a safe bet that she could make it through to the next game. "I'm John, by the way." I offered my hand out to her. "Why does it matter? We're probably going to die in here anyway," she said as she refused my friendship by added, "I'm only going to partner with you to make sure I make it to the next activity alive." The others that were still alive did the same, and then we were placed in the center of the floor and the children brought out a normal-looking rope that they extended between our feet. As an added challenge, they next bound our feet with chains, and one older girl in the group commented, "We want you to act as a team." As they came up to me, I got a good look at the boy that was chaining me down and saw that he had a tattoo on his ankle. "What's your name?" I whispered to him. "Those sorts of things don't matter here," he answered back. I tried to look for some spark of humanity left in him, and wondered briefly if any of these kids were even real either. Was the entire facility run by lifelike drones? The whistle pierced the air a second later and the rope began to move. Quickly, my partner and I jumped in. I matched her rhythm, worried about what would happen if we missed. A moment later, the rope caught on fire, the burning heat making me begin to sweat, as the kids strategically made their rope move faster at a steady pace. The girl and I did a good job for a short minute, but then as they began to speed up, the flames would hit our ankles almost every jump. It made me want to cripple over in pain. 2 women behind us tripped from the rope and were burnt badly, and they fell down on the floor, begging the children to stop. "Where are your parents? Why are you doing this?" Thankfully, it seemed as though death was not their immediate fate, as the children moved on to other participants and started to perform a double dutch with their other members, making it twice as hard to avoid the flaming rope as they sped up. I could hardly keep going even after 2 minutes, and the heat seemed to get even more intense. Finally, after about half of our group was hit by the blazing weapon, they moved on to the next activity. All of the remaining adults that hadn't been burnt were told to wait in the locker room for further instruction. As we were huddled inside the tight space and the doors were locked, I realized that this was the first time since the playground that we were all alone. "If anyone has any ideas on how to get out of here, it's appreciated," the girl commented as she rubbed her sore ankles. I was in so much pain that my entire body felt numb. I had no idea if that was a blessing or a curse, to be honest. The weird mascot mentioned an award ceremony later, probably back at the cafeteria, but I think that I saw a main office near the front of the building. I bet you anything there's a control room up there. Someone must be in charge of telling these children what to do, a man said. "And how do you suggest that we get there? Seems every move we make is monitored," I asked. "We'll work together, just like I said. These are just kids. They can't stop us if we use force," the girl offered. A woman next to her shuffled her feet uncomfortably. "I don't know if I can justify doing that to kids. It's likely they have been brainwashed to obey. We shouldn't be hurting them even if they're doing this to us," she admitted. I felt the same, but I didn't say a word. It was clear the majority was ready for this nightmare to end. If we can get the people in charge to end this idiocy, maybe it'll save the kids too. The needs of the many will be accomplished by just a few, the man argued. "You're just speculating. We don't even know if any of this will work," another said. Soon, the locker room burst into an argument, and the doors slammed open a second later, and one of the older children gave us a glare. "The physical fitness test will now begin," she announced, leading us back to the gym. All of the adults that had suffered from injuries were gone and now in the middle of the floor. I saw that, well, the actual tile was missing. I even rubbed my eyes to be sure that I wasn't imagining things. It was in fact cut off by what looked like a bottomless hole, a chasm that cut through the whole area. I tried to look down and see if there was anything below, but it seemed to stretch on for miles, perhaps into some furnace below. And dangling over the pit was a rope, which seemed to be covered with oil to make the climb even more difficult. Did the children even understand they were literally making us risk our lives? I was placed in front of the line and I waited as the bell rang. The rope was only a few feet in front of me, but I still had to make a running start for it. Leaping out above the pit, I gripped onto the slippery rope and quickly started to climb. Even with the oily surface, it was still possible for me to ascend, but not easily. I could hear the others actually cheering me on as I tried to not look down. But just when I thought that I might make it, the game changed and something above me fell through the roof vents. Needles. Sharp pointed ends struck my head and against my hands as I clung to the rope and shivered in pain. It wouldn't be long before I lost my grip entirely. My only chance was to try and swing back toward the edge. I started to shift my body weight as I slid down the rope, my hands sweaty in the onslaught of falling needles, making my nerves begin to stress and ache. Just as I had made the third swing, I let go, barely grabbing the edge. The others rushed to help, but the children blocked them. If I was going to survive, it would have to be on my own. Desperately, I clawed my way up the side, gasping for breath as I collapsed to the ground and looked down at the pit. "This is insane. I can barely even stand up from this," I moaned as I looked at my shaking palms. The needles had hurt more than I had realized. The children looked at me and then the oldest one in charge ordered, "Take him to the nurse." Before I knew what was happening, I was escorted out of the gym by several larger kids, toward the office that the one man had speculated we might be able to use as an escape. A bag was placed over my head before they marched me down the hall, shoving me rudely as they moved forward. Eventually, I was placed in a chair and my hands were bound with a zip tie, and then the bag was removed and I found myself staring at another adult, somebody that was running this whole thing. She gave me a fiendish smirk and said, "Looks like you thought you were going home early." The nurse administered some kind of shot directly into my bloodstream without even bothering to tell me what it was for. As I watched the needle press into my body, I was sure that I was about to die. Instead of a quick death like the other adults here, it would be slow and this strange woman would revel in my suffering. Immediately, I started to sweat and feel faint, my lips clammy as I begged her to stop. The entire room felt dizzy, and then at last, she tossed the needle aside into a sharps container and commented, "My, you are certainly a squealer, aren't you?" I was panting, hardly able to see or speak coherently, but it didn't matter. She was going to make me listen to her strange ramblings. "You have been brought here for a reason, student 6091, and that is to prove yourself worthy of readmission to society. Given your skills so far in our school activities, you stand in a high probability of being a graduate of our program," she commented as she pulled a file from a nearby metallic cabinet and read off my life as though I had died long ago. John Reeder is age 32, a single father living in the suburbs of Chicago. You have 2 children, David and Susanna, ages 8 and 4 respectively. You work as an auto mechanic and enjoy chess matches and hiking in your spare time, she commented as she slid the profile across to me. Does all of this sound accurate? Despite how parched I was, I managed to give her a whispered reply. I have no idea what you want, but once I get out of these bonds, I swear that I'll kill you. She leaned over toward me, smiling quietly before smacking me across the face with her gloved hand. You will learn that we do not tolerate insubordination in this facility of any kind. Do I need to remind you why you're here? She snapped. She turned the folder over to the next page, which showed photographs of me having drinks with friends, spending time at work at long hours, and not coming home to be with my family. Things that I had felt guilty for over the past 6 months. Bad habits that I was struggling to cope with. And here they were on display as crimes. My sins that had landed me in this place. You are fortunate that the charges aren't more severe, or we wouldn't even be having this conversation. You have forsaken your family, Mr. Readers. You have fallen into a lifestyle of pleasure rather than responsibility. As a result, you squander what money you earn and your children starve. You're a poor excuse for a father and therefore unfit to return to being a parent until you're taught a proper education. I didn't fully comprehend what she was saying, but I gathered that this prison was a place for people like me to be rehabilitated under whatever strict guidelines they enforced. A second chance according to their standards to be a better person. And if we failed to be strong enough, then a deadly fate awaited us. I knew her logic about health and recovery and being a good parent didn't line up with the atrocities that I had seen her so far, but I was too frightened to even correct her. "When is this graduation ceremony?" I asked. "Tonight after the final period. We will gather our students together in the band hall for a celebration and announce the graduates. But to make it there, I need to make sure that you are on equal footing with the others. Hence the need for your little injection," she commented. I looked toward the needle, wondering what exactly she had dosed me with, as a bell rung and the nurse stood up, pleasantly smiling. "Enjoy the rest of your school day, Mr. Readers. I hope to see you again tonight. I think if you apply yourself to your education, you will go far," she said. I was marched by children back down the hallway, confused and disoriented, even without a bag over my head, as we passed by what looked like class photographs of previous graduates. As I paused to look at the numerous alumni, it occurred to me this secretive program had been running for quite some time undetected. Who could be handling all of the finances, and how did they even find people to be candidates for their experimental prison? Another sobering fact was evident about the photographs. Less than half a dozen persons were in each picture. The rest of the seats were empty, meaning the chance of survival here was slim, perhaps nigh impossible. Still, I had to think of my own 2 children and fight to survive as long as I could, even if it did mean against the others, I thought as I was escorted into an art studio. There were perhaps only 9 of us left, and as soon as I had entered the classroom, each of them viewed me with new suspicion. I mean, it's easy to guess why. I had been given special privileges to not go through with the remainder of the fitness test, and that must mean that they think I'm involved in whatever is going on. I thought as the children ordered me to take a seat near one of the easels. Our teacher, the strange emotionless, costumed walrus, immediately gave us instructions on the assignment. "Each of you is filled with inspiration, aspiring dreams that are waiting to burst forth. Here we get the chance to express ourselves and show our achievements on the canvas," he explained as the children locked the doors. Whatever was about to happen, I knew good and well it was not going to be as pleasant as he claimed. Under your desk, you will find the tools you need to create a masterpiece, something that truly speaks to us and helps to see what type of artist and person you really are, the mascot said. All of us reached down to take a small black bag from the underside of the desk, unzipping it to reveal razor blades and other sharp objects that typically people would use for other things, and the costume mascot explained. "You have 30 minutes to put your sweat, tears, and especially your own blood into your work. Those that put in the most effort will get to move forward to the next class. So try your hardest and work for a better grade than your classmates." Immediately, a timer was started above his head, and I looked at the objects in horror, realizing that he expected us to actually use ourselves as paint for the project. The others hesitated and started using the objects on their skin, wincing and shrieking as the red dribbled onto the paper. One woman had a different type of masterpiece than mine though, and immediately lashed out toward one of the other adults, taking them down to the ground. Surprisingly, the costumed mascot did nothing to stop it, and after she had taken out her art partner, the woman had announced, "I found out that she had been sleeping with my husband, so this is my artist's depiction of what I want to do to him." The mascot nodded and announced, "You get a 90. Head for the music room and enjoy your extra recess." She dropped the object and stepped over the body, leaving the rest of us confused and befuddled, but also no less suspicious of each other. "What about you, John? What did you do?" the petite woman that I had talked to earlier asked as she held the blade safely in between her knuckles. I couldn't tell if she intended to do the same thing to me as well. None of us could be certain what the others were capable of. As I looked down at the mess, though, I began to dizzy and I stumbled across the room to vomit. It had to be the side effects of whatever the nurse had given me, designated to make me incapable of completing this task. I realized as I vomited in the trash can several times and felt the room begin to spin. One man tried to approach to help, but I pushed him away, uncertain if those in charge would view it as cheating. I needed to act fast, and the only thing that I could think of was to use the object against myself and threaten to do it. If this is really supposed to be about rehabilitation, then let the rest live. Let us get out of here, I demanded. The children actually seemed to show emotion for a split second, as I held the object against my body, where I knew the most red could be spilled. It was a bluff, but I needed to see if my guest was right about this demented facility. Would they allow me to survive simply because of their twisted moral code? "That will be enough," the mascot bellowed, motioning for everyone in the class to stop. He went from desk to desk to look at the artwork, supposedly grading each and every one of us as though it really mattered. It felt like our survival was going to be the toss of the dice. Myself, the petite woman, and two others were told that we could head to the music hall. I knew that meant that the others wouldn't make it, and as the object was wrestled from my hand, I considered trying to stand up for them. I have to be able to make it back to my own family. I kept reminding myself as I felt the strangest shot the nurse had given me start to take effect. If I don't push forward, it will all be for nothing. Somehow I got the impression the others were told to leave, had the same guilty conscience, and we all reluctantly were led away. Even as the art studio doors closed in, we heard the ones left behind begging for their lives. A roar of gunfire and paintballs filled the air, and we heard their screams grow higher almost to a crescendo, until at last everything became silent. And then paint and red mixed together drained from underneath the door, a sickening feeling in the bottom of my stomach as I realized that the four of us were the only ones still standing for this final round. We were taken to a music hall where the children told us to pick out an instrument, and I found myself hardly able to stand up from another bout of nausea. And then as I finally reached the flute stand near the middle of the class, I saw the playbook was open to a song that told me my suspicion was right. We were nearly at the end of this mad game. They were going to force us to play the ceremonial orchestra, followed by a funeral procession theme. Slow, soothing music began to play as all of us took our seats and watched the children line up against the wall. Despite the pretense that everything was fine, I knew good and well that only a few of us would survive this final test. I didn't know the people alongside me in this class, but I still couldn't believe that all of them might be gone in a few minutes. As the music got a little faster, the children ordered us to start playing, and we all did our best to keep up. Now, I've never ever had a talent for music, but I tried my hardest to appease them even as I felt the room beginning to move. Everything was suddenly shifting around as we kept playing, the room rotating as we saw behind the walls a row of strange small holes that had sharp spikes poking straight out. I knew that if we stayed where we were sitting at the moment, we would be impaled in only a matter of seconds, so immediately I tried to stand, only for something to shock me and cause me to collapse back into my seat. "The performance mustn't stop," a child said as the room kept rotating. We all reluctantly played, and as we did, I noticed the room begin to move the other way. Someone was actually getting the music right. "Keep playing correctly," I shouted to the woman. She had a trombone, and I could tell that she was exhausted, but we couldn't afford any mistakes. One man was about to be hit by the deadly darts and he tried to flee, only for the agonizing shock to cripple him and cause him to flail backwards towards the weapon. He screamed in pain as he made contact with the spike, but it didn't finish him. We kept playing to the end of the song to keep the rest of us alive. As the chorus came to an end, the room stopped moving and the children cheered. Some even suggested an encore. I could tell that the woman who had kept us alive those few minutes wouldn't have the strength to play again, and thankfully the encore wasn't required. To my surprise, as we were moved from the band hall toward the mess hall, I saw the nurse from earlier waiting for us with what looked like awards. Since there were only 3 of us left, I was hoping this meant that all of us would get the chance to make it out of here. But I noticed she was only carrying 2 awards. One of us would be put to the test a final time. I realized as we were told to stand at the center of the stage. All of you have managed to come so far in this program, and we can't thank you enough for all of your hard work to reach the top of your class, the nurse had announced. As she was talking, I saw that the auditorium was filling up with children. I was surprised to see that there were so many of them. At first, it was just a dozen, but then I realized that there were hundreds of them. Did they all live here in this underground place? How did they survive? Before we pass out the awards, I think it's time for a quick snack for all of you, the nurse said as doors at the back of the cafeteria opened and I saw more adults rolling in carts. I held my nose as the stench of rotting meat overpowered me, and I saw that they were actually being fed the bodies of all the other adults that hadn't made it this far. The children didn't even wait for a serving bell. They growled and snapped at one another to grab a piece of the chopped up bodies, and they chewed it as fast as they could. I felt like I was about to throw up again by watching what was happening. Now I knew what these children were being turned into. Monsters. I didn't care to have any other questions answered, too sickened by the realization that if we had lost, we would be in that meal as well. To my surprise, the petite woman that had been here since the beginning reached for my hand. Her eyes filled with tears as we listened to the children eat the bodies of our competition. "My name is Sam, by the way," she whispered as her lips trembled and the children finished the last bits of meat. For a moment, there was a connection between us, a mutual understanding that we didn't deserve this treatment, despite whatever issues we had in our real life. Nothing could even come close to this level. And then the nurse got out a raffle ball and started to spin it, the numbers clattering around as the hungry children waited to hear who would be crowned the champion. I didn't have to guess what would happen to the loser. "Our graduate in this class is none other than John Readers. Step up here, John," she announced. Immediately, the children moved towards Sam and to the others, ready to pull down and eat them as well. I tried my best to hold on to her for as long as I could, her screaming and kicking the entire time. "You will forget about this place soon enough, John. I knew you would make it. Come, as we get you ready to leave, there is one final thing I need to show you," the nurse ordered. I tried to keep from looking as the children trampled and attacked my friends. I was so traumatized by the event, I found myself shaking as I moved towards the back hallway. I'm sure by now you recognize that this entire process was orchestrated to make you a better person, but we couldn't have done this without people that were in predicaments just like yours. Down on their luck, angry with loved ones, scorned. We want to offer you the chance to be able to recommend a future student to us, she said, passing me a small pamphlet. You mean someone to send here to die, I realized. Well, if they can survive our test, they'll be fine, she commented softly. She soon led me to what looked like an old elevator that had a key code to prevent anyone from entering, and as she got me ready to leave, she added, Just think over all that you have learned here, and I'm sure you'll see the benefits to our program. And then she injected me with another dosage, a strong sedative this time, and pushed me into the elevator. I couldn't even open my mouth to scream as the door slammed shut, and I found myself getting dizzy. The last thing I remember was the elevator rising toward the surface. When I did wake up, I was in the middle of a heavily wooded area. It felt surreal to imagine that everything I experienced was real. The pamphlet the nurse had given me was more than enough proof. In addition, the wound on my wrist was all stitched up. I walked for about a mile to the road, and from there I hitchhiked. "Where to?" a passing motorist had asked. They actually looked a bit nervous to help me, and it was then I realized that I stole the clothes from the prison underground. I probably looked like an escaped convict. I told them to take me to the nearest police station. I told them my story from start to finish. I showed them the wound on my wrist. I also insisted that they could check my clothing for fingerprints, and I gave them my pamphlet. There was nothing that matched any known criminals in their database. It suddenly occurred to me this was likely why they had trained the children to be their foot soldiers. None of them would be traced, and likely all of them had been taken at infancy. I thanked the officers for their time and managed to get a ride home from one of them. I was desperate to see my children again. Once I got home, I made a promise to them that I would be a better father. I can only hope that time will erase some of the awful memories of school.